Picking up yardage is number 4, Jordan Brookshire, the QB.
Force out of bounds by 34.
Taking him out of bounds is number 34, Marcus Blanton. First down pick comes the Eagles. Reception made by Josh Ramirez.
Back here in Viking Stadium after the technical difficulties as the Eagles had the ball starting on the 2-yard line after a great punt by Prom, but they've continued to churn it, and now they're all the way out to the 34-yard line. So the Eagles are still up 21-0 with 6 minutes counting down in this first quarter of play, and it'll be 3rd and 5 from the 34-yard line for the Eagles. Brookshire comes out in the pistol look. They hand it off, cutting off the edge north and south towards the very end, trying to do anything he can to get the first down yardage. That's the running back, Kirion Hadnot there. And they're going to say, that's actually Tidwell, the freshman at Concord High. He gets enough yardage despite looking like it was half a yard short initially. And now the Vikings will give up another first down. And so for a drive that started at the 2-yard line, it's all the way out to the 39-yard line. And this Eagles offense is looking spectacular to start out this game.
Yeah, now that the Eagles have a comfortable lead, what I think that they're trying to do is churn those yards and just grind out the clock and get this ball game over with and get that W.
Bunch left out the short side of the field. They hand it off once again. No, it's a quarterback keeper getting towards the edge, finding a seam, showing up the speed down the right side. The 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Eagles, Jordan Brookshire coming out, showing off the powerful wheels, and he runs forward for a nice 61-yard touchdown. Oh my goodness. We know the quarterback's an athlete, but he just blazed the whole entire defense over the Vikings, and the Vikings trailed 27-0 with 5:09 left in this first quarter.
Yeah, oh my goodness is right, Max. He made those boys look silly. He took that read option. He ran all the way up the field. He put that little meep on him, and he got up the field, and he started turning those feet, and he got the yards, and that was very impressive to watch.
So the kicker is coming out once again. That's Isaac Parada for the 4th time in this first quarter of play. The PAT is up, and that's good once again. So the Vikings are down 4 possessions, and it hasn't even been 10 minutes of play here in the first quarter, down 28-0. You can see the return men for the Vikings coming out just looking absolutely dejected. But the Vikings will still have 3.5 more quarters to play, essentially, here in this last home game of the season.
Yeah, and at a certain point, Max, you gotta wonder, where's your pride? It's the last home game of the season. You want to finish off on a good note, despite what might have happened during the season. But right now, the Eagles' offense is just pouring it on and letting the Vikings have it.
So the Vikings are going to come out once again. Zane Cribbs and Matthew Larks will be the 2 return men. So every single time so far, the kick has been angled towards Zane Cribb as the return man. And Isaac Parada coming out once again to kick it off. Parada's doing an unconventional kick. He's only lining up about 3 yards back from the ball and just kind of pooch kicking it up. So getting ready for the kick once again as this Vikings return team as they'll try to do something special on special teams to kick it off. The kick's a short kick, going to be fielded at the 21-yard line by Cribbs. Cribbs getting behind his return man, running to the middle of the field, has a little bit of space, spinning down, turning his feet, getting down to the 35-yard line. So a 15-yard return by Zane Cribbs rather. And the Vikings offense will start from that 35-yard line mark to see if they can just get anything going here in this first quarter of play.
This is the time where you kind of want to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, we don't want this lead to get any bigger. And I think the offense needs to come out here and put something on the board just to reinvigorate some sense into the team and show that they still have a chance to win the ball game.
So the Vikings working from the far hash mark from the 35-yard line, working left to right as Hoyer comes out as the quarterback once again. He's in that That spread pistol look, they hand it off underneath to Alexander. Alexander has nowhere to go, smothered down instantly at the point of contact, tackled for a loss of 4 on the play. And this offensive line that's just put together by duct tape at this point is getting no push for their running backs. So 4-yard loss on the play as the Laney Eagles defensive front just swarmed towards the ball. Out to the 32-yard line. Between the hash marks, the Vikings will work 2nd and 13 from the 32. 2nd and 13 from the 32. The Vikings come out, and that look once again, the dual back set pistol formation. Alexander is behind Hoyer, and the man to the right of Hoyer is Jake King. Motioning from right to left is McKenzie. Handoff once again over to play action. Tossing it deep downfield to Hagen's one-on-one. Catches it, pulls it down all the way to the 31-yard line. And finally the Vikings get something going as Sahagan wins the one-on-one matchup off the edge on the short side of the field, or on the long side of the field rather. And the Vikings offense is getting something going.
That's got to be a huge breath of fresh air for the Vikings offense just to get something. Now it seems as if they can drive down the field and maybe get some points. Hoyer put the ball in the perfect place on that throw down the sideline, and they were able to get some big yards.
Yeah, coming in this game, Coach Dar was talking about the matchup, and Sahagan was the man that they wanted, one-on-one across the edge playing. And they just believe Sahagan's the better athlete here. So McKenzie motions right to left. They hand it off to Alexander. Alexander cutting off the edge, trying to turn forward, gets tackled down by 4 different defenders out to the 28-yard line. And a nice gain by Alexander coming up with a 4-yard carry on the play.
I'll tell you what, Max, the Eagles defense is not playing.
So the coaches over to the right-hand booth are starting to finally feel some sort of discontent here, as the momentum seems to be swinging a little bit towards the way of the Vikings with 3 minutes left in this first quarter, but they are down 28-0. Hoyer working on that dual back set pistol look once again. They motion out to the right side and they toss it out to Alexander. Alexander has nowhere to go, tackled for a loss of a 5-yard loss. So that one is going to be 3rd and 11 now, as the defensive backs for the Laney Eagles just came up there. They queued it up perfectly on the toss. And the Vikings will have to face a 3rd and long from the 32.
Well, we spoke about it earlier, Max. The defensive backs for the Laney College Eagles are doing a great job of coming upfield and making tackles, a quality that you don't see out of a lot of DBs now in today's game of football.
King off the right hip of Hoyer once again, and Alexander is the man in the backfield with the pistol look. Tied in off the left side of the offensive line. Hoyer calling for the snap. Straight drop back. Tosses it deep downfield. Another miscommunication between Sahagan and Hoyer, as Sahagan tried to break inside the route where Hoyer thought Sahagan was just running a straight go route. If Sahagan ran that go route, he might have had an opportunity to get in there for a tug. But unfortunately for the Vikings, they'll face a 4th and 10 from the 32, and they're going to have to see what they want to do here.
Yeah, and it seems time and time again Hoyer's throwing deep balls that are going a little bit too far than what the receivers are anticipating on the play.
And the Vikings, a 49-yard field goal attempt is not anywhere in the realm of possibilities for this team, so they'll come out on 4th and 10 and see what they can do. Shotgun with a bunch right formation off the short side of the field from the right hash mark. Hoyer dropping back, has to run it himself, goes up in the pocket, and he's going to be tackled well short out of bounds. Gets about to the 31-yard line, but that is nowhere near the necessary yardage, and the Vikings will turn it over on downs. So another turnover for this Vikings team. And the Eagles are going to come out here after another successful defensive drive. Despite facing a little bit of adversity, they're going to come out here and see if they can pad some more stats on that 28-0 lead.
That Eagles defense brought the heat on that play, allowed Hoyer no time to think and no time to make a decision on who he was going to give that ball to. And they were able to hold the Vikings to a very short gain right there.
Working right to left as the second-string quarterback comes in here. Junior Diallo comes in to play quarterback for the Eagles early in this first quarter play. So Diallo gets the snap, dropping back, screen off the right side of the offensive line, catches it, is the wide receiver. That's number 1, Jared Smart. But the Vikings having a very smart play on that one, coming up there, sniffing out the screen all the way through and getting a nice tackle for about a 4-yard loss on the play.
A lot of that has to do with just play recognition, watching film, and it looks like the Vikings did a great job of anticipating that play on defense, knowing that a screen would be coming, and they shut it down completely.
Yeah, it was that secondary that really got it, because the defensive line for the Vikings really just rushed up the field, but that just gave them enough time and force the short throw. And now a quarterback keeper off the left side of the offensive line, tackled down hard by number 21. That's Jake Peralta, the rover from Clayton Valley, coming up there and getting a tackle for loss. So it'll be a 3rd and 15 now on the field for the Eagles. So the second string quarterback isn't getting it done here for this Eagles team. And the Vikings, if they do continue to bring the second string quarterback, might actually have a chance to get back in here, down 28-0 with 1 minute left in this first quarter. So Diala gets it, throws it deep downfield, one-on-one coverage. Payne had his hands all over the face of the intended receiver. That was number 14, Dear Walker, but no flags flew out there. Ryan Payne comes up with a defensive stop, and the Vikings force a 3-and-out against this Eagles offense.
Yeah, all in all, that was pretty good coverage by the defensive back. You know, there's a little bit of gray area there when you always raise your hands. There can always get into pass interference area, but I think that he did a good job of covering the receiver, not allowing him to make a ball on the play, or play on the ball, excuse me. And now it's going to be 4th down.
To be honest, the lines judge was right over there in front of it, so I think what Payne did, I mean, he has an offer from LSU for a reason. He's just really smart, putting his hand up there, blocking the line of vision, and forcing a just tremendous defensive play. So the punt is up. It's going to be fielded fair caught at the 46-yard line. Number 9, Josh Ramirez is the man coming out there on the reception, or number 5 rather, Josh Ramirez. And there's a penalty flag on the field. I believe it's going to be an illegal touching by the defense, because they came out there, they got, or not illegal touching, but right up in the vicinity of the return. They're not giving him enough space to catch the ball.
Right, you got to give him space. He was right up on, like, basically breathing down his face mask. You can't do that, especially when a guy's trying to catch a punt, and he called a fair catch for it.
So after the fair catch by Ramirez, they're going to get another 10 yards after the play. So the Vikings are going to get some tremendous starting field positioning from the 39-yard line of the Eagles. And we'll see if they can tack on any points with 45.8 seconds left in this first quarter of play, down 28-0. The Vikings are working from the near hash mark left to right as Jarrett Hoyer comes out once again in that pistol look. The running back off the left hip is Jake King. And the running back in the backfield behind Hoyer is Rayshawn Alexander. So McKenzie motions left to right. They hand it off to McKenzie on the jet sweep. A reverse, and Sahagan's going to find some space coming down the right sideline. Out to the 30, 25, knocked out of bounds at the 23-yard line. Hard hit out of bounds, and that's another penalty by the Eagles defense. Despite having that lead, they are starting to crumble apart here after the personal foul, late hit out of bounds, and the Vikings are going to get all the way deep down into the red zone of the Eagles.
And I was watching that play develop there, Max, and I do have to say that the Vikings might have even been able to score on that play. I think there was one whip block there down on the sideline. Not sure who missed it, but that was definitely going to be a very focal block to that play, and it didn't occur. And
a man is down on the field for the Vikings right now, as that looks to be one of the big boys up front, and this is the last thing possible for that the Vikings really need over here with 34.9 seconds left in this first quarter of play. So the Vikings coming into this game, they had to move Christopher Schroeder, the 409-pound offensive lineman, or defensive lineman. They moved him to play right guard before he got injured last game. He'll be out for the rest of the season. So the left guard came over to play right guard. That's Demario Williams, and he's going to cover for Devontae DJ Johnson, who came in to play left guard. And the starting left guard was Chris Levesque, who got injured, and he's out for the season. He was injured against San Mateo, so they just have so many different injuries on this offensive front for the Vikings, and it's a surprise that they can even give Hoyer any sort of time to pass.
Yeah, and it's always unfortunate, and it's always difficult as a team when you have guys go down. You're always trying to find the right pieces to fit back into the puzzle, and it's always a difficult thing to do because you have a lot of moving and evolving pieces as the season goes around.
So for the Vikings now, they'll just have to hope and pray that their fellow brother on the field comes up okay. So with that, we see the man step up. That's number 59, Tyler Clemens, walking off on his own power. So it's good to see him up and walking off the field. The 6'5", 207-pound right tackle of Alhambra High. And now the Vikings will see who they're going to have to bring in to take his position, because he's going to have to come off the field for at least one play now.
At the 11, it's a first down for TBC.
So the Vikings will come out here with their new-looking offensive line, and Demario Williams is going to come up and play right tackle now, and the right guard is number 52, Devontae Johnson. So they're going to have to sub in somebody. That's number 66 in for the Vikings now. That's Aljamain Mallard, the backup center, is going to be playing left guard. So a shuffle on the offensive line for the Vikings as they come out on that pistol look. Dropping back, tosses it out to Cribbs. Cribbs catches it at the 9-yard line on the far side of the field, and he's knocked out of bounds after a 4-yard gain on the play. And despite having two offensive linemen shift different positions and a backup offensive lineman coming into this game, Hoyer had some decent amount of time to throw it out to the flat to his check down man. And the Vikings will go down 28-0 with no time left in this first quarter of play.
Diablo Valley College.
So the Vikings have a terrible start to start out this game, but they are in the red zone. They are in scoring position here early in this, or going into the second quarter of play, and we'll see what they can do on the other side of the break. You're tuned in to Watch DVC Sports. So the Vikings working right to left now after the quarter change. And Hoyer will come out in the pistol look, dropping back, looking for one-on-one coverage across the edge. And that's tipped down by number 23, the defensive back. That's the cornerback, Nashawn Wright out of James Logan High School. I mean, Nashawn White is a tall cornerback, 6'4", 175 pounds. So they're just believing Sahagan has the speed advantage over the way bigger receiver. And over there, that was just a bad pass by Hoyer. And he's lucky that that one wasn't intercepted. So the Vikings will work 3rd and 7 from the 8-yard line. And we'll see if Hoyer can do anything coming out in the shotgun look. Trips out to the short side of the field. The motion Cribbs from left to right. They hand it off to Cribbs. Cribbs cutting north to south, trying to get as much yardage as possible down to the 5-yard line. And so Zane Cribbs on the jet sweep just sees the seam, plants his foot down on the far hash mark, and it'll be 4th and 3 here early in the second quarter of play.
Yeah, and despite the Vikings' offensive line struggles, they're still deciding to trust that offensive line, especially with runs up the middle and their pass protection. They're going to continue to lean on that and put faith in that because they need that in order to succeed on the offensive side.
And the officials' timeout on the field as a Laney player was shaken up on that last play. Rick Becker coming out on the field, the former Diablo Valley College athletic trainer, over here as the head athletic trainer for the Vikings now. So the Vikings and the Eagles, or the head athletic trainer for the Eagles rather now. So the Vikings and the Eagles actually have some shared staff on their staff. So of course, like I just said, the offensive or not the offensive, the athletic trainer over there coming from DVC, and also the linebackers coach. I'm blanking on him. Coach V, there you go. Coming out there, he was actually my defensive line coach, so that's fairly embarrassing. Over here, back over when DVC was still named D-Line U. So he's over there coaching the linebackers for Laney College now. So Coach Vincent Bordelon, out there doing a tremendous job with this defense so far. So Prom will come out here and he'll try a short field goal attempt. So it'll be a 21-yard field goal attempt as the kick is up. That one's booted through. That's essentially just an extra point, and the Vikings finally get their first points in this game. So the field goal attempt is good. Prom comes up there and makes it happen. And it's officially on the field. a 22-yard field goal attempt, so essentially an extra point. But the Vikings get on the board, and they slowly but surely are trying to cut down this huge lead by the Eagles.
Yeah, well, mercifully they were able to stop the bleeding there, actually be able to put some points on the board. That's exactly what you need if you're going to think of making a comeback in this game. They are still down by a lot of possessions, but I think that if they start to crack down on defense and make smart, disciplined decisions on offense, they can really make a run here for a comeback.
Yeah, and as we saw in the last drive that the Eagles really didn't have any success. They lost a bunch of yardage and then just had to punt it away on a 3-and-out. Their backup quarterback, Junior Diallo, was the one inside the game. So I understand you want to get your guys some reps, but it's super early in this first quarter of play. There's a ton of time for the Vikings to come back in this game. So maybe you bring back Brookshire, who's had a tremendous game so far, and see what he's able to do. He's been shredding apart this Vikings defense so far.
Yes, he
so
has.
We'll see who the quarterback is coming out in the second drive. So Prom comes out there to kick it for the first time rather, for the Vikings, as they received the Eagles won the opening kickoff. They decided to decline it, so the Vikings took it off. So this is the very first time the Vikings will come out here and kick it this game. 28-3, the Vikings trail with 14-13 left in the second quarter of play. Prom lining up here. The deep band back is number 15 for the Laney College Eagles. So that was actually number 18 as the kick goes way too deep. So far kick down the field, and some flags fly on the field after that. Some dirty laundry on the field, so it'll likely be an offsides on the Vikings.
And that's what it seemed to be, a little bit of a anxious movement up there on the Vikings kickoff line, and it seemed that a couple of them jumped over.
Yeah, so let's see if the defense seems to be coming off onto the field, so I don't believe they're going to re-kick it. They might just tack on the extra yardage at the end of the play. So it'll be 1st and 10 after the 5-yard penalty on the 30-yard line. So it was a touchback, but the offsides by the Vikings makes it 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line. 1st and 10, quarterback comes out in the pistol formation, hands it off the left side of the offensive line. Nowhere to go. He's tackled down after a 2-yard gain. So Jordan Brookshire is the man back in the game as the sophomore quarterback out of Cardinal Newman in Santa Rosa, California, comes out to lead this Laney College Eagles team on offense once again. 2nd and 7 from the 33-yard line for Hashmark as the Eagles work from left to right. And they'll line up in a pistol look. Pistol snap, the handoff off the right side of the offensive line, having some space, cutting it back, pushing the pile forward, and getting all the way down to the sticks, out to the 41-yard line. And a great job by Josh McDonald, just getting north and south, planting his foot in the ground, and getting positive yardage to move the chains for the Eagles.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, Max, the Eagles are doing a great job here with the lead of getting small chunks of yardage, although they are respectful chunks of yardages, and they're just grinding out the clock here and looking to escape out of here with the W, continuing to run the football.
28-2-3 with 13 minutes left in the second quarter as they hand it off once again. Quarterback keeper rushing off the edge, had a man right up in his face, was able to pull it out there, taking a big hit at the very end out to the 49-yard line as Brookshire carries it forward for a gain of 8 on the play.
Brookshire running that read option against the Vikings is a bad business for that Vikings defense. They haven't seemed to have figured it out quite yet, and Brookshire is continuing to run all up and down the field.
And if you're the Vikings, you got to be screaming at your defensive line. Senegal is right in the face of the quarterback, and he just let the man run by him. 2nd and 2, we'll see if the Eagles come out here and try to take a shot. They hand it off in the sweep motion out to McDonald. McDonald cutting it back, gets up to the 48-yard line, and a flag flies in at the very end of the play. We'll see if that was a holding call on the Eagles, because those sweep actions, you typically see the offensive lineman trying to reach out there to try to get that edge, and with the athletic defensive line that the Vikings have, it's likely going to be a holding call. So it is a holding call on the play. They'll move it back, and it'll still be 2nd down. So 10-yard penalty on the play. That's going to push the Eagles all the way out to the 40-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 11, or 2nd and 12 rather.
And I think this is one of the only few times that the Vikings have actually caught a break on the defensive side of the ball up to this point in the game.
So 2nd and 11 officially on the field as Brookshire comes out in that pistol look, tight bunch off the short side of the field from the far hash mark. The Vikings showing a muddle look, toss a screen out to the left side of the field. That's caught by Garrett, and Garrett pushes forward for a minimal gain, getting about 4 yards on the carry, or on the catch rather. And it'll be 3rd and long for the Eagles from about 5 yards away from midfield at the 40. They're going to actually say it's 6 yards away from the 46-yard line. Or from the 44-yard line, rather.
Gain of 4 on the play.
So gain of 4 on the play officially. And now they'll send out trips out to the long side of the field, working from the far hash mark. And they'll line up in a shotgun look with Brookshire. Brookshire calling for the snap, belt high snap, gets it. Scanning down the field, tosses it across the middle. That's caught into a man right up in his face.
Good
flies
Lord,
at the very end.
mercy.
So Baywa Bullard ran a little bit of a post route or a flag route.
Just burn it.
And he caught the ball, but he was lit up the moment he caught it. A huge hit by number 32. That was DJ Mutchinson just laying the lumber.
Just burn it, Max. Put it in the scrapbook. Throw it in the fireplace. That boy does not know where he is right now. That is one of the hardest hits that I've ever seen in my whole career of football. And it was just nasty. It was like eating spaghetti with no fork. I mean, Lord.
So DJ Mutchinson came up here. He led with his shoulder, but we believe he left his feet. That's why they're going to probably throw the flag down there.
Listen, I do understand that football has been moving to better safety for the players, but listen, on that play, when it's shoulder to head like that and he's breaking up a pass, there's nothing else you can say but bang, bang, chicken and grits. That's just how the game goes.
Hey, he led with his shoulder. That's the thing about it. He wasn't leaning with his head, but he left his feet. That's why they're saying it's a penalty on the play. And oh my goodness, I mean, just a tremendous job by the receiver, even being able to hold on to that ball.
Yes, I do have to say that. That was a valiant effort by the receiver to be able to hold on to the football.
So unfortunately for the Vikings, that penalty will push them all the way out to the 27-yard line. And now the Vikings will face, or the Eagles rather, will get a 1st and 10 right outside the red zone of the Vikings. So twins out to the right side of the field from the far hash mark. Brookshire lifting out from the pistol, so he hustled it out to the wide receiver. That's Angelo Garrett. Once again, they tried to get their wide receiver out in the flats open with the lead blocker, but that ball was just dropped. He was trying to run before he had a chance to catch the ball, and it'll be 2nd and 10 now from the 27.
Yep, and just when you think that screenplay was about to break some big yards, he got a little bit too anxious, and he looked away before he caught the ball.
So Jake Peralta is leaving the field on a cart right now. So that's unfortunate. So Isaiah Sahagan will have to come up and play his rover position. So the Eagles will line up in the shotgun look, heavy off the right side of the offensive line. They'll hand it off the right side. Trying to get towards the edge, has some space, cutting it forward, finds the sideline, pushed out of bounds at the 17-yard line. Great job by John McDonald, the scout back, just showing off that speed, getting the edge. And he has the necessary yardage to get a 1st down, but flags fly in. So it's likely going to be a holding call on the Eagles once again. So what would have been an 11-yard carry on the sweep turns into a holding call, so it'll be 2nd down and 20 now. 2nd down and 20 from the 34-yard line, as the Eagles offense continues to shoot themselves in the foot despite having such talent on that offensive line. I mean, they have some big bodies, 6'5", 315, 6'3", 325, 6'1", 315, 6'6", 300. I mean, you got some big boys out there, but they're just not quite athletic enough to get outside, and that's why you're seeing all these holding calls. So shotgun snap, toss the screen underneath. That's caught by McDonald. McDonald has space in front of him. Cutting back inside out to the 15-yard line. Sheds a tackle. Gets off to the right hash mark. Finding the sideline. Tackle down at the 20. The 10-yard line. Falling down at the 8-yard line. Ryan Payne just doing a great job being able to go out there and be the last line of defense. So Ryan Payne coming up with the tackle to stop the touchdown. But for the Vikings, I mean, that's just another screen underneath ran by the Eagles. McDonald, I mean, that was just they showed that screen the whole entire way through, and the Vikings did a great job early on in this game.
But that running back was completely unaccounted for on that play.
He was just not accounted for there. And so now from the near hash mark, Brookshire will come out on a pistol look with the lead blocker off the left guard. Tackle down, suplex!
Oh my!
And oh my goodness, what a huge hit by the DVC defender, just lifting the running back off his feet and slamming him down.
Max, I feel like I got lemons in my mouth. My face looks so sour. I mean, the Vikings defense seems like Brock Lesnar. He took that boy to Suplex City, and it did not look pretty. My Lord.
And I believe that was actually the safety, Vincent Seha, coming up there and slamming him down. That was a safety filling the gap like a linebacker. Oh my goodness.
This ain't SummerSlam, baby.
2nd and 7, they'll hand it off once again. Up the middle, tackled down, a hard hit right at the 2-yard line. And it'll be 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line now. And the Vikings defense, they're still showing some pride out there despite giving up 28 points in this first quarter. They're coming out there, they're hitting hard, and they're still trying to just really force their own will on the field.
Right, yeah, that was a good play by the middle linebacker from the Vikings, being able to come up, like you said, impose his will on that running back, stop them short before he could get across the line.
So it'll be 3rd and goal, about 2 yards out on the 2-yard line. And they'll come out once again in that same look. They have a shotgun look, but they have a running back off left guard. Quarterback keeper up the gut, pushing forward, and that's an easy touchdown by Jordan Brookshire. Brookshire rushing in for the 2-yard touchdown, and that's the 4th touchdown, 3 coming off the arm of Brookshire and 1 coming off the legs here as the Eagles go up 34-3 with 8:43 left in this second quarter of play.
Yeah, watching all those Eagles surge up the middle, all those blockers lead the way for their quarterback. It looked like a mudslide or an avalanche. You knew it wasn't going to stop until he got in.
Yeah, and they essentially just have a pulling guard ready over there as they line up the fullback right behind the guard. So you're pushing the man. You can't really account for him because unless you really blitz a linebacker. But if you blitz a linebacker, then you're in trouble in the passing game.
Right.
And that's just an offensive look that's hard to stop for this DVC defense. And as you can see right over there, they couldn't stop it as Brookshire rushes in for that 2-yard touchdown up the gut on the quarterback power look.
Yeah, they're pouring salt in the open wound now, Max. It's 34-3, and it seems to me that the Eagles have no intention of slowing up either.
So it's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct as the flags flew at the end of the play, and it's going to be enforced on the kickoff, so the Vikings will be called for the unsportsmanlike conduct there. And so now, once again, Isaac Parada will come out and see if he can cross another T on the PAT. So the kick is up. It's a wobbler, but it goes through the middle of the uprights. And that's another touchdown, 35 points so far, 5 touchdowns on the day for the Eagles. And it's still 8:43 in the second quarter.
I'm not going to lie to you, Max. It feels like we've been standing here for hours, but it's only 35-3. The longevity of the game is just false in our heads just because of how much scoring has been going on the Eagles side of the ball.
So the kicking formation has been short kicks so far, angled towards Cribbs. Cribbs typically catches it anywhere between the 10 and the 20-yard line. But with that penalty, we'll see what they decide to do. If they're still going to angle it out to Cribbs or they're just going to beat it away and force a touchback. So some confusion on the field here as the kicking unit comes out. Their kicker is nowhere to be seen, though. So the kicker finally coming off. They're going to readjust the field. So after the 15-yard penalty on that touchdown run, they're going to kick it off from the middle of the field, literally dead center at the 50-yard line of the DVC logo.
Yeah, that makes things a little bit easier for the Eagles.
I think what they're going to do is they're going to do that same exact tactic where they're going to kick a pooch kick out to Cribbs, but they're just going to force Cribbs to field it at the 20-yard line, or at the 2-yard line, rather.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Just trying to make a big play.
Right.
So, lining up for the kick is Parada once again. Parada raises his hands, steps forward for a 3-yard kick. He's going to kick it deep into the end zone now, off the hands of Matthew Larks, but that ball bounces back for a touchback. So, I mean, I don't really understand that. You've been running that pooch kick to tackle a receiver down before the 25-yard line this whole entire time. This would be the perfect time to kick that pooch kick, but instead you're going to send the DVC offense starting out the 25-yard line. Maybe they just don't care anymore. They're up so big, they're just going to come out here and hope this game turns by.
Yeah, it seems to me that their in-game tactics are kind of through the window at this point with such a commanding lead, and we're still in the first half.
Here come the Vikes.
So from the near hash mark, the Vikings will work on offense as they still have a shuffled up offensive line here, as it does not look like the big rat tackle. Actually, no. So Tyler Clemens does come back. So despite being injured earlier, he comes back for this drive, and the Vikings will have a little bit more continuity on the offensive line. Working on the pistol look, they hand it off underneath. That's Alexander. No, that's Jackson. Jackson trying to find the edge. Tips his shoulder down, tackle down at the 29-yard line. So a gain of 4 on the play as he's chopped down by the Laney Eagles defender running towards the short side of the field. It'll be 2nd and 6 for the Vikings offense.
Yeah, and that's an understandable play call for the Vikings, getting their playmakers out in space. But again, their defensive backs and their safeties and their corners are doing a great job of getting off of blocks and coming upfield and really hitting like a linebacker.
2nd and 6 from the 29-yard line. The Vikings will work out that pistol look once again. Alexander is off the edge right now as they hand it off to Jackson. Jackson up the middle, spinning through multiple tackles, doing everything he can to get any positive yardage, but it'll be tackled down right at the sticks. They'll say he got half a yard on the play, getting out to the 30-yard line.
48,
Amir Boujard comes up, the freshman out of Berkeley High playing defensive end, comes up with the tackle on that play. So great job coming from his defensive end position, scraping down that line and getting the tackle on it. Ray Jackson. 3rd and 5 here, and the Vikings work from the 30-yard line right to left from the near hash mark with 7:30 left in the second quarter. Empty look for Hoyer now. Hoyer comes out in the spread. Wait for the snap. Belt high snap. Dropping back. Steps up. Pressure in his face. Rolling out to his right side. Tossing off the back foot. Has a man. Demario McKenzie triples it in his hands for his second, but he's tackled out the 48-yard line. They'll say it's at the 49. If McKenzie caught that ball clean, he would have had plenty of real estate in front of him. But unfortunately, he just bobbled that ball, dribbled between his hands. But
after everything the Vikings offense has been through tonight, I'm just glad that he caught the football.
Yeah, exactly. He caught the football, and that's all that matters. Hoyer off his back foot found a way to get it to his wide receiver, and the Vikings offense is finding a little bit of a rhythm. So pistol look, Alexander is off the left tackle in an up back position, and they hand it off underneath Jackson. Tackled initially at the point there was no ball, there's no hole whatsoever as the ball pops out at the very end of the play, and the Eagles are going to come up with it. The ball popped out at the 50-yard line and fumbled forward out to the 46-yard line, and the Eagles fall on top of it.
Yeah, I said it before and I'll say it again, Max. The Vikings have covered that football with some bacon grease, and the problem just does not seem to be being fixed.
Cantrell Pierce, the defensive back, diving on top of that ball after the fumble. And the second fumble today by Ray Jackson. Jackson's such a prolific athlete, but if he keeps coughing up the ball, you can't have him out there on the field.
Discipline is one of the huge things that a lot of coaches talk about when they talk about good offense, and the Vikings have not had that thus far throughout the ballgame.
So the Eagles will come out from the far hash mark, working left to right now. The quarterback is still Brookshire. Brookshire having a terrific day at halftime. We'll get the stats and tell you how terrific of a day as he hands it off the middle. And there was nowhere to go. The hole is filled instantly. The linebacker's doing a tremendous job as Tanea Pulu comes up for the tackle on Tidwell, along with Shyrus Duckett, number 98, the nose tackle, coming up for the minimal gain. So half a yard on the play, and it's going to be 2nd and 10 from the 46-yard line. Working from the far hash mark. 2 receivers out to the bottom side of the field as Brookshire has a running back off the left hip. Tidwell off the left hip of Brookshire catches it, or slinks it downfield rather, off the hands of his receiver at the 39-yard line. The receiver ran a good route, a crisp route, breaking at the right time. That was Angelo Garrett, but Garrett just couldn't get his hands on it. I mean, did everything right except for catch the ball.
Yeah, and it seemed to me that he needed to get his head around maybe just a half a second sooner, and he would have been able to react a little better and catch the football. But as far as the timing goes, that was spot on. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even take a three-step drop. Brookshire just caught it. He looked down the field and just ripped it. 35-3, the Vikings trail with 5:56 left in the second quarter of play. And it's a 3rd and 10 here from the 46-yard line. Brookshire fakes a screen, pressured, rolling off his right side, gets through multiple defenders, finding the edge, gets enough yardage, stepping out of bounds at the 42-yard line. They're going to say he was knocked out of bounds at the 40-yard line. And Brookshire once again showing that athleticism, showing the legs, and rushes for a first down for the Eagles.
One thing that you always want to be careful of as a defense, when you have a quarterback that can run the football as well, you want to keep that contained on the edges. The Vikings have not been doing a good job of doing that thus far in the game.
Well, the Vikings had a man right over there. They had contained, but the contained man just couldn't make the tackle.
The speed of the quarterback was too much there on that play. He was able to get around the edge.
Yeah, they just didn't judge it correctly. I've been there before, so I feel the pain by the defensive lineman. You're going to be hitting yourself in the head after watching film there. So shotgun snap, they hand it off to Tidwell. Tidwell running the sweep, tries to find the edge, nowhere to go as the Vikings defense swarms. And that'll be a tackle for no gain out to the 40-yard line. So a good job by the Vikings coming out here, and Isaiah Sahagan coming up there filling the rover position for Jake Peralta. Comes up with the tackle.
Yeah, from the DN to the outside linebacker to the corner, they did it all great job of sliding down on the play as he went down the line of scrimmage, trying to find some space, and he didn't.
So 35-3, the Vikings trail with 4:43 left in this second quarter of play. It's 2nd and 10 from the Vikings 40 for the Eagles. So pistol look, they hand it off to Tidwell. Tidwell carries it forward, slips down, catches the turf monster in between the hash marks at the 35-yard line, and a nice gain of a 5 on the play.
The right guard and the right tackle over there on the offensive side of the ball for the Eagles did a great job of opening up a hole on that running play, and Tidwell did a great job of cutting off his right foot and getting upfield, and now it's a manageable 3rd and 5.
I mean, good job by Jordan Brookshire as well. He faked like he had the ball in the sweep as well, so it pulled some attention away from the defensive end of the Vikings, so they still have to account for him. When you have a running quarterback like that, you have to account for him even if he doesn't have the ball. So snap, quick toss out to the right side of the off side of the field, and that's caught by Jared Smart. And Jared Smart that was a easy play for them. The Vikings were playing off coverage on that 3rd and short. The nearest defensive back was about 5 to 7 yards away, and they just tossed it out to Jared Smart. A quick pass, and he had enough yardage to get the first down easily.
Yeah, due to coverage like that, what you want to do is run some quick turnarounds for your receivers and get them a little bit of space so they can make them play and get a first down. And that's exactly what happened there.
Heavy left side of the offensive line as they work on the pistol. Tidwell's behind Brookshire. Once again, they hand it off. Getting towards the edge, has nowhere to go. Swarmed down after a loss of 5 on the play as flags fly in late here. So hopefully hopefully for the Viking fans, that's another offensive holding call on the Laney Eagles and the Vikings. Yeah, they do say it's a holding call, so the Vikings will likely decline this call, and that's a huge tackle for loss once again. So when they're running up the middle, the Eagles are finding some success. But when they try to get to the edge, the DVC offense is just, they're athletic. They're going up there, they're filling they're scraping down the edges, and they're doing everything right. So, that's just what happens when you have such a big offensive line like the Laney Eagles have.
Right.
They only have one offensive lineman who's under 300 pounds, which is their center, who's 6'3", 285, so he's still a big boy. So their strength is definitely in between the tackles, and they keep trying to run the sweeps, which is not really working out so far in this game.
First and 16.
So 2nd and 16 now from the 35-yard line, and Brookshire will call for the snap out of the shotgun, tosses it out to his wide receiver. That's Jared Smart. Smart catches it out at the 25-yard line on the nice breaking route on the outside. He whipped his head around fast enough on that play, getting knocked out of bounds after a gain of about 10 on the play.
Yeah, the timing was right on time with that play. He snapped his head, he got the ball, caught it, and was able to run up and make it another manageable 3rd down after they lost some yards. Now they got them all back.
So it's 3rd and 6 from the 25-yard line now. And it's looking like it'll likely be 4-down territory for this Laney Eagles offense, as they've only kicked 2 field goal attempts this year. So, shotgun snap. Looking out to his left, tosses way too far in front of his wide receiver. The intended receiver on that play was Dior Walker, who had a man swarming right in front of him. That was the nickelback Josh Ramirez right there in his face. But an uncharacteristic pass by Brookshire there, tossing it way too far in front of his wide receiver. And the Vikings will force 4th down and 6 now. 4th and 6 with 2:23 left in this second quarter of play rather. Out to the 25-yard line. Laney College will see if they can convert on 4th down. Coming out in the shotgun look is Brookshire with twins out to his right side of his offensive line in that spread shotgun look. Dropping back, screen underneath, and there is no chance for the wide receiver to catch the ball there. The Vikings sniffed it out all the way. Number 5, that's Josh Ramirez coming up on the coverage. So they tried to run a wide receiver screen out to Angelo Garrett, but that ball was once again thrown far too in front of his wide receiver. And Brookshire on back-to-back plays just had uncharacteristic mistakes, but fortunately for the Vikings, they'll have the ball with 2:22 left at their own 25-yard line.
Yeah, and contrary to popular belief, we are still in the first half, ladies and gentlemen, so it's not like it's an impossibility for the Vikings to come back and put some points on the board and try to come back here.
So the Vikings will come in on offense now, working right to left from the near side of the field. They'll line up in that dual back set pistol. So twins out to the right, they motion the running back out to the right side, and they run a screen underneath. So Rayshawn Alexander had the ball go off his hands. As they say, it's a forward pass. So it looked like it was almost a lateral for a second, but it looks like it was. So yeah, I think they tried to run a little bit of a lateral pass out to Rayshawn Alexander, but fortunately for the Vikings, the ball came forward just a little bit. And now there's a penalty on the field from the Eagles. And so it's a personal foul, so the play won't count. And they'll move the Vikings forward out to the 40-yard line. Just a confusing little bit of play here on the field.
Definitely.
I couldn't even get my head wrapped up around it.
That's what I was looking like really quick.
2:16 left, 35-3. The Vikings trail the Eagles here as they come out with the heavy offensive line, tightening off the right side of the offensive line, and a dual back pistol look. Rayshawn Alexander is the man in the backfield. Toss out to Alexander towards the short side of the field, cutting towards the sideline, pushed out of bounds at the 37-yard line. That's a gain of 3 on the play. They're going to actually say you got it to the 36-yard line, so that's a gain of 4 on the play by Rayshawn Alexander. Gain of 4. As it'll be 2nd and 6 with 2:02 left in this play clock. And I don't think the Vikings know that the play clock is still running. Because he was pushed out of bounds, I think they're going to say the clock continues.
Okay.
So the clock continues to run despite the Vikings thinking that their running back got out of bounds. And Hoyer will come out in the empty set. So spread empty look as he motions Alexander out to the right hip. And Hoyer sprinting out to the right, looking downfield, tosses it, gets it out to Cribbs. Cribbs knocked out of bounds at the 38-yard line. And Hoyer's finally finding a little bit of confidence here as he's zipping that ball, planting his feet, showing off the fundamentals, popping the hips, and moving this Vikings offense.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for Hoyer to be successful is you got to give him some time to throw the football and make a good decision. And on that, he was able to find the time that he needed and find the receiver running out to the sideline and make a good, strong throw for the first down.
So empty set for Hoyer now as Hoyer comes out from the far hash mark in the empty set. Motions Rayshawn Alexander from the right slot into the backfield. Pistol look, fake the handoff. They toss it way too far in front of Zane Cribbs. So Zane Cribb, if he caught that ball, he would have had a little bit of real estate to work down that sideline. But unfortunately, Hoyer just tosses the ball way too far in front of his wide receiver. So it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 38-yard line of the Eagles. But fortunately, that incompletion stops the clock, so it's still 1:30 left in the second quarter. So running back rushes off the field now as number 66, Algin Malari, rushes off the field, being replaced by one of the starters. Empty set, bunch off the left side of the offensive line. As they motion Alexander once again, handed off on the jet sweep, trying to find the edge, finds the edge, knocked down at the 25-yard line, or the 35-yard line rather. I'm going to say he was officially down to the 34.5-yard line, and the Vikings will take a timeout here to stop the clock. So actually the Laney Eagles are going to take a timeout on that last play, as they're going to face a 3rd and 6 with 1:17 left in this second quarter of play coming up after this timeout. So we'll take a quick break before coming back with the remainder of the second quarter of play. You're tuned into Diablo Valley College football here on Watch DVC Sports. The Vikings trail here in the second quarter of play. Hoyer motioning his receiver from left to right. They hand out to Sahagan. Sahagan's looking like it'll be a double pass. Doesn't end up taking it himself. Sliding down. So Sahagan on what looked like it should have been a double pass. Well covered by the Eagles. So it forces him to just slide down. It'll be 4th and 7 now after a loss of 1 on the play by Sahagan.
You said it best, Max. He was looking for somebody downfield. It definitely looked like he was trying to go for that double pass, but the Eagles' defense, was all over it, and he was forced to take it himself. So now it's going to be 4th down.
So Hoyer, the 6'5" quarterback out of Doherty Valley, will come out and see what he can do on 4th and 7 from the 35-yard line with 1:09 left in this second quarter of play. Trips out to the short side of the field, working from the far hash mark. Hoyer dropping back, rolling out to his right. Has to flip his hips, just throws this ball away. Flags fly in towards the end of the play. And we'll see what the flag is. If the flag goes against the Eagles, there'll be another back-breaking penalty on the Eagles. As the Vikings were shot out of the water, Hoyer just had to throw it away on 4th and 7. So illegal hands to the face on the Eagles. So more undisciplined play from this Laney Eagles squad, as another penalty on 4th down pushes the Eagles to play some more defense. Automatic first down after the 15-yard penalty. So what looked like the end of the second quarter for the Vikings on offense turns into an automatic first down all the way out to the 20-yard line. The Vikings will work 1st and 10 with 1:01 left in the second quarter inside the red zone of the Eagles. For the second time today, they get inside the red zone. The first time they were in here, they had to settle for a short kick, only a 27-yarder. So we'll see what Hoyer can do now. Working from the near hash mark, trips out to his right, and the empty set. Rolling out to his right, there was no blocking in front of him. Hoyer still finds a way to rush around, flipping his hips and zips it out of bounds. Demario McKenzie, if they could have hooked up there, would have been in the back of the end zone for the touchdown, but unfortunately, Hoyer, with pressure all up in his grill, was not able to set his feet and make an accurate pass, and that pass drifted out of bounds. So it'll be 2nd and 10 from the 20.
Yeah, initially Hoyer looked like he was going to get sacked, but I think he did a good job instinctually of just running backwards and getting out of the pocket and being able to evade the defenders. Even though the pass wasn't completely on target, he was still able to get it out there and make something out of nothing.
Yeah, it's still 2nd and 10 with 55 seconds left, so you still have time on the field for the Vikings to come out here, and they also have 3 timeouts still left in the pocket. So getting the snap off, stepping up, tossing it out to Sahagan. Sahagan catches it, but he's swarmed down right away, getting a nice 5-yard reception on the play. But the Vikings will have to take a timeout to stop the clock with 47.8 seconds left in this clock. So White coming up there and making the tackle. Nashawn Wright, that 6'4" corner that we've been talking about out of James Logan. So that's really been the matchup to watch tonight. You have a huge 6'4", a flag flew in at the end of the play, so it was another unsportsmanlike conduct play. So another personal foul, and the Eagles will push the Vikings forward. But like I was talking about before, Nashawn White versus Roman Sahagan has been the matchup that the Vikings have been looking for all night long. So despite having the size advantage, they believe Sahagan has the speed advantage, and they've been going his way for the majority of Hoyer's passes. First and goal after the personal foul, and the ball will be out to the 8-yard line now, as Hoyer will work in the shotgun look. So stacked twins formation for this Diablo Valley College offense. They move Cribbs from right to left. They're going to look for a screen out to Cribbs. Cribbs tip drill up in the back of the end zone, so thrown into triple coverage as the ball was actually intended for Justin Ross. But the ball harmlessly just hits the turf for the Vikings, so the broken up pass will force a second and goal from the 8-yard line with 41.9 in this second quarter.
For such a risky pass, it was surprising to see it fall harmlessly to the turf. The Vikings got lucky, but let's see if they can make something out of this opportunity.
So the Vikings are trying to get in the end zone for the very first time tonight. They're still down 35-3, so there's a whole lot that they need to do to climb back into this game, but they're doing it. They're trying to do it slow and steady. Some motion out of the pistol. They hand it off. Rayshawn Alexander cutting back inside, pushing it forward to the 5-yard line before being taken down. They'll say he was actually stopped way short of that, out to the 7-yard line, so it's only a 1-yard gain on the play. If Alexander took the edge, he looked like he had some real estate to maybe find some space to try to do his best to get into the end zone, but instead he cuts it back inside. And the Vikings will have to take another timeout with 33.7 seconds left in the second quarter of play. And the Vikings offense, despite having so many opportunities here in the red zone, cannot get anything going. So 35-3 once again. And this game has been all Eagles so far. 28 straight points in the fourth quarter of play, or in the first quarter of play rather. As the first one was a blown coverage play, a 47-yard pass from Brookshire out to Kirion Hadnot. The running back came out there and just ran a wheel route out in the backfield, and that scored the very first touchdown of the day. The second one was a 12-yard pass from Brookshire out to Jared Smart for the touchdown. The third one was a blown coverage, once again, a 47-yard pass from Brookshire to Hull, and then the third one was a 61-yard run by Brookshire getting into the end zone. So, 35-3, the Vikings still trail with 33.7 seconds left, and they'll face a third and goal from the 8-yard line. They've been stuck at this 8-yard line for quite a bit of time now. So from the middle of the field, shotgun snap out for Hoyer. Hoyer working with trips out to his left. Hoyer dropping back, scans to his left, rolling out to the left side, has to throw it away, zips it up in the back of the end zone, having a man up in his face. He just tossed it up. And Demario McKenzie doing as much as he can to sprint out there just to try to get a chance to catch it. But unfortunately for Hoyer and the Vikings, there'll be another fourth down in the red zone. So great red zone defense from this Eagles team today. They've been dead in their tracks before this, but once they get in the red zone, the Vikings offense can't find any sort of rhythm. So fourth down for DVC. They are in field goal range, but instead they're going to say if we need any sort of chance to get back in this game, we're going to need to score a touchdown here. So fourth and goal from the 7-yard line, and a timeout is called on the field by Hoyer. So Hoyer, with the clock running down, just decided to take a timeout, talk it over one last time, because the Vikings just need any sort of momentum going into the half, and a touchdown will be anything to just keep their heads up in the locker room.
Yeah, well, Hoyer, what he's doing in the red zone is telegraphing where his throws are going to be by looking directly at the receivers without maybe any checkoffs, and that's allowed the defense to interrupt a lot of the passes that he's trying to throw, especially in the red zone where all the coverage is tight. And so I think that they've been running into that issue pretty frequently, especially in this final drive of the half.
So the Vikings so far today, talking about the numbers, Hoyer's 8 for 19 for 106 yards. And those yardage came from the big chunks from the receiving core. So that's 36-yard pass to Sahagan and that 21-yard pass to Demario McKenzie where he bobbled the ball in his hands. And so now the Vikings will see what they can do. The Eagles defense is out on the field And the Vikings are just trying to do anything that they can to get into this end zone. 4th and goal from the 7-yard line.
Here we go.
27.3 left in this second quarter of play. So the Vikings will come out in between the hashes, but closer to the far hash mark as the Vikings will work in the shotgun look. Hoyer out there with that spread shotgun look. He'll see what he can do. Cribs motions from right to left. The defense shifts to accommodate him. Looking out to his left, holding underneath. I don't see a flag in there, but they toss it out, catching it, and they're going to wave it off. Damari McKenzie did not catch the ball. So Laney will take over on downs once again. And the Vikings will only have 3 points to their name if things stand the way that they do. Down 35-3 with 21.1 in the second quarter. Damari McKenzie caught the ball, but they said he was out of bounds when he caught the ball. So the Vikings turn it over on downs, and we'll likely just see a few rushing plays up the gut from this Eagles team taking it to the half.
Yep. That's got to take some air out of the lungs of the Vikings offense. You got 4 plays inside the enemy's 10-yard line to get into the end zone, and you don't get it.
So Jordan Brookshire will come out in the shotgun look as a timeout is called by Laney here. They didn't like what they saw. And so now this first half of play that seems like it's been going on forever will continue here. So it's 8:28. The kickoff was at 7, so it's been about an hour and a half for this first half of play here. It's been a lot of penalties, a lot of timeouts, a lot of incomplete passes,
and a lot of scoring.
Predominantly by the Eagles.
That, yes.
So, with that, we'll take a quick timeout with the team on the field, and then we'll bring it back for the final 21.1 seconds in this rest of the second quarter. You're tuned in to Watch DVC Sports. So the Eagles will come out here, and it looks like they'll just take a knee coming out in the victory formation. And the first half was definitely a victory for this Eagles team. Do they have another false start on the field? The tight end off the offensive line jolted to his right before the snap, and they're just going to run it. The referees are down on the field saying, hey, just make it happen. Go to halftime already.
Too many flags.
With the clock finally being ticked down, they're not going to throw the flag. It's 35-3 here in Viking Stadium as the Vikings have just been absolutely destroyed here in this first quarter.
Oh, they're getting demolished.
Oh, my goodness. We'll take a quick break before coming back for first half stats here in Viking Stadium. So you're tuned into DVC Vikings football here on Watch DVC Sports. We'll be back for a quick halftime report after this quick break. Here at halftime in Vikings Stadium as the Vikings trail 35-3 against the Laney Eagles. It's been all Eagles very early on. Let's talk about the scoring plays first. So to kick it off on the opening drive of the day, Kerryon Hadnot had a wide open wheel rat out of the backfield. Brookshire hooked up with him perfectly, and that was an easy pass to get it going with 11:54 left in this first quarter. And then basically 50 seconds later, after the Vikings turn it over, Brookshire gets another touchdown to his name as Jarrett Smart gets into the end zone for a 12-yard pass reception. The Eagles are up 14-0 at that point. 1 minute later, 10:05 in the first quarter, Brookshire hooks up with Quintius Hull for a 41-yard blown pass once again. and the Vikings trail 21-0 at that point. 5 minutes later, Brookshire decides to take it himself, running off on that quarterback look at 61 yards on the rush, and the quarterback goes in to the end zone with his feet. The Vikings were able to get the ball into the red zone after a nice explosion of offense for just a second. 5 plays, 34 yards later, they stall in the red zone in the second quarter, and Prom comes up there and kicks the only points of the night so far for the Vikings. 28-3, the Eagles lead. And then in the middle of that second quarter, rather, the Eagles come out there, and Brookshire running in with that quarterback power look gets into the end zone. I mean, this Vikings team is just, they come out here and they've coughed up the ball far too many times. So far today, let's see if we can pull up where the turnovers are. So the Vikings have 3 fumbles on the day, and they've lost all 3 of those fumbles. So that's a stat line that really shows how this game has really turned the way that it does. And the only category that the Eagles are really trailing the Vikings is in penalties. They've had a bunch of boneheaded penalties tonight. 8 penalties for 99 yards, but other than that, it's just been Eagles all the way. So we'll start off with the Eagles with some individual stats. Brookshire, 10 for 15, 173 yards and 3 touchdowns through his arms. And then Brookshire is the leading rusher as well. 6 attempts for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns to his name. And for the Vikings, Hoyer having a hard night so far. 8 for 20, 106 yards. And those yardage predominantly came from 2 big plays from Sahagan, who has 3 catches for 48 yards, and Demario McKenzie, who bobbled the 21-yard pass. And then Zane Cribbs also has 3 catches for 27 yards. In terms of the rushing game, Sahagan on 2 jet sweeps is the leading rusher, as he has 16 yards. And then Ray Jackson, 4 for 9, but he has those 2 fumbles. And then Rayshawn Alexander has nowhere to go, 7 carries for 6 yards.
Yeah, and one of the things that's been standing out to me, Max, is you look at the third down conversions. The Vikings are 1 for 7, and that's definitely not helping you. Even though they have been turning the ball over, and that has been costing them, going 1 for 7 on third down is something that's not going to help you. And when the Eagles, on contrast, are going 6 of 8, 75%, that's really good. And, not converting on third down allows you to not move the ball up the field, and you're not going to get any points doing that. So
yeah, and on top of that, even when they did go for it on 4th down, when they were close there in the end zone, in the red zone, they just weren't able to get anything going. 0 for 2 on 4th down today. And so far, it's been all Eagles early here. We thought it might be a trap game for the Eagles coming in here in the last game of this season for the Vikings here at home. But it's been all Laney so far. 35-3 here at the half. 16 minutes left at halftime. We'll be back for second half coverage here in Viking Stadium. You're tuned in to Watch DVC Sports. Here in Vikings Stadium for the second half of play, the Vikings trail the Eagles 35-3 here at home in their final home game of the season. They're going to come out in this second half of play and see if they can just do anything to claw back into this game. But unfortunately for the Vikings, the Eagles won the initial toss. They chose to defer. The Vikings took it off for the very first snap of the game. So now the Vikings will have to kick it off. So Prom will kick it off for the second time today, as the only kickoff came off after the 27-yard field goal attempt by Prom. And now Prom will see what he can do to give his team some decent field positioning, or his defense rather, some decent field positioning to start out this game. So lone deep man is number 82. That's Demaria Johnson. So the kick is up. It's a long, booming kick. Fielded at the 2-yard line, taking up the near side hash marks. Has a little bit of a seam. Dropped down at the 27-yard line. That's a nice 27-yard return from Quinius Holt Jr. Rather, number 81 was the man out there, the deep man. So, Isaiah Sahagan on the tackle, and the Vikings will come out on defense. The Vikings defense has done a decent job today outside of a few big plays. Some blown coverage, and then the tremendous athletic play of the quarterback for the Eagles, Jordan Brookshire. That's been the biggest difference. But other than that, when they're playing just sound defense, I mean, they're doing a good job. They're forcing a lot of holding penalties on that big offensive line as the handoff goes up the middle this time. The running back is McDonald. McDonald cutting off the left side of the field and then be knocked down in between the hashes at the 34-yard line, officially on the field.
The Vikings had a rough go at it in the first half, and there's no question about it. But we'll still see here if the Vikings can get something going here, and let's see if they can keep their pride, keep their strength. And like I said, most importantly, they need to keep their composure in the second half and try to make something out of it.
So the Eagles will come out on a pistol look here. The running back is McDonald behind the back of Brookshire. Brookshire hands it off to McDonald. McDonald working off tackle, has some space, running out to the 40, has the seam, 30, 25, 10, touchdown Eagles. John McDonald coming out there and hitting a home run on his first at-bat. Oh my goodness, 41-3, the Eagles line up. And that is not the way you want to start out. The coaches are cheering in the right-hand booth over here. They're climbing, pumping their arms, and the Eagles have not gone cold. They are not settled with this 41-point lead, or 41-3 lead, rather. They're coming out here, and they're going to try to blast it all the way until the end of the night.
Yeah, Max, forget everything I said up to this point in the entire game. It seems that the Vikings don't have any fight left in them, and they're getting crushed, and there's no doubt about it. The Eagles do not seem to be letting up. I mean, the boy finished with another track finish at the end when he scored. I mean, it's just disrespectful. I mean, the amount of tragedy that's going on in this game right now, Max.
Isaac Parada dots the I on the PAT on the last play, and the Vikings will come out on offense. And, I mean, we were talking about it. When they're trying to rush towards the edge, they haven't had much success because they got those big guys up front,
right,
but they're not as athletic as the defensive linemen of the Vikings. But when they're running up the gut, when you're going between the guard and the tackle, between the center and the guard, that's when you're going to make your bread and butter, and that's exactly what they did. They had a huge gaping hole, and then McDonald just had the speed to rush underneath, get all the way through, and he had a huge touchdown that last play.
Man, was he fast. He got away. No one was catching him. He put up the knees. He started running like a track star. Thought I was watching Usain Bolt in Beijing for a second.
67-yard touchdown officially on the field for John McDonald. And oh my goodness, like you said, Usain Bolt, he just showed that track speed and made it happen.
He was not getting tackled on that play. Once I saw him start to act like he was running up a hill, it was over.
Yeah, once he got north and south, the Vikings just took a bad angle with their safeties, and that last line of defense crumbled as he rushed forward for that 67-yard touchdown. So the Eagles will come out, and they'll kick the ball up from the 35-yard line off the leg of Isaac Parada. And Isaac Parada has been doing pooch kicks out to Zane Cribbs all day long and lining up 2 yards back from the ball. It looks like he'll do that same exact tactic once again. So pooch kick will be fielded by the up man, caught at the 31-yard line. And that's a fair catch called by Jake King, the backup running back as the up man. So the Vikings will get the ball at the 32-yard line, or we'll see where they officially mark it. They'll say it's at the...
Yeah, that little pooch kick has happened
the
one too many
32-yard
times
line.
for the Vikings. And it looked like they didn't want no part of that action, boss, and the man called a fair catch.
So 1st and 10 for the Vikings. They'll work from in between the hashes. Twins out to the right side of the offensive line, up back off the right side of that offensive line as well. And Hoyer will work out of the pistol with Ray Jackson in the backfield with him. Handoff underneath to Jackson. Jackson running power, rushes off the edge, backs through one defender, but he's tackled down on a second level of coverage on the play. So Ray Jackson cannot find the edge and be tackled for a 4-yard loss on the play. Josh Golden coming up for the tackle as he comes out from his outside linebacker position.
And it may seem a little bit over the top, Max, but when I sit down and look at everything that's been going on throughout the course of this game, I really start to think that the Eagles are dominating the game in every single facet.
Yeah, they've done it on special teams. They've done it on defense and offense. I mean, they're just taking care of it. The Vikings have been inconsistent on one level of play, resulting in their 2-6 season. Their only real bad loss was against San Mateo last week, but they're carrying on that stink into this week as they're down 42-3.
Oh, it's 42-3.
Hoyer lines up in the pistol, play action pass, tosses it out to Alexander. Alexander breaks through one tackle at the 30. Shows up the fancy footwork, looking like he's going on the speed ladders as he knocked out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Flags flying at the end of the play, and it's looking like it'll be a penalty on the Eagles as the coaching booth to the right of us continue to yell and scream as they're so disappointed at their offense, or as their team tonight. So far in this game, they've had 8 for 99, so 8 penalties for 99 yards, and after this 15-yard penalty, it'll be 9 for 100 and... I can't do math right now, so 9 for 114.
Well, all I know is it's bad when your penalties accumulate to the whole length of the football field.
So it's actually it's on the offense. So they're going to have to say somebody on the sideline or Alexander, who's knocked out of bounds, said something, because the Vikings this time around shoot themselves in the foot. So now they have 6 penalties for 55 yards on the day. 42-3, the Vikings trail with 13:07 left in this third quarter of play, so it'll be 3rd and 13. Actually, they're going to say it's actually 3rd and 22 at the 20-yard line as a chant rings out from the Eagles sideline.
That's how you know it's
bad. On the
pistol,
they motion Jackson into the backfield, and it's going to be a shotgun look. Rolling out to his right is Hoyer. Hoyer off his back foot, lost one up, and it'll be intercepted.
You got to be kidding me.
Intercepted down at the 28-yard line. He tossed the ball up for grabs. And number 23, the quarterback, Nashawn Wright, the person that the Vikings have been targeting all day long, has come up with his reception. So he's won that battle. And that's the first interception by Hoyer. I don't know if Hoyer was just trying to throw that ball away or if he was trying to find a man, but he lofted it up way too soft off the back of his feet into a place where there was 2 wide receivers for DVC, but 3 different defenders for Laney.
Yeah, that was just not a smart move by Hoyer to throw the ball in that area, let alone to loft it up and keep it in the air for as long as he did. And any good defensive back is going to come up and make a play on that.
So 1st and 10 from the 32-yard line of the Vikings. And Jordan Brookshire will come out from the left hash mark. And DVC will take a timeout here. They're hating everything that's going on the field. Down 42-3, turning the ball over. And they'll take a timeout to see if they can just coach up their players and get out of this game, which is a little bit of pride. So you're tuned into DVC football here on Watch DVC Sports. After the Hoyer interception, as Nashawn Wright comes up with the interception on the play, the Eagles will come out on the field, working 2 receivers off to the long side of the field from the far hash mark, working left to right. Up man off the side, and they toss it into the flats. That's caught by number 11. Fumble goes down, but he finds a way to get right back on top of the ball. As number 11, now it's Baywa Bird.
That was reinvigorating to see from the Vikings defense. You know, for a long time it looked like they were lifeless in this game, but somebody said that they wanted that action, boss, and they came up and they forced a fumble.
So the Vikings will come out and play some more defense. This is 2nd and 13 on play, or let's say it's 2nd and 14 on the play after the loss of 4 on the fumble. And so now up back off the left side of the offensive line, twins out to the left side, and they hand it off underneath. That's a running back getting it. Number 8 on the carry, or number 6 rather, John McDonald, who just had that home run play on the opening drive of this possession, or of this quarter rather, and he swarmed up in the backfield. As the Vikings have come up there, they filled the gaps, and they did a great job stopping the run up the middle. It'll be 3rd and long now, 3rd and 14 from the 32-yard line. Loss of 2 on the play, so 3rd and 14, 3rd and 16 rather, from the 34-yard line. And the Vikings trail 42-3, and the Eagles are still on offense trying to make something happen. Dropping back is Brookshire. Brookshire steps up in the pocket, slam down. Tanel Pulu coming up on the sack, blitzing from his inside linebacker position. And Jordan Brookshire is still down on the ground, picked up by his offensive lineman at the very end. But that is a theme that's been so consistent with that Vikings defense. When they need a play to happen, they blitz up the middle with Tanel Pulu. And the sophomore linebacker from Berkeley comes up big. He's the clutch man for this defense.
Yeah, most definitely. He came up the middle, and he gave the quarterback a great hit. And he asked him, how does my face mask taste? He was able to force a 4th down and a punt from the Eagles.
So Isaac Parada will come out to punt for the 2nd down today. It's a high swirling punt. This one's going to bounce down at the 7-yard line. And it's out of bounds, angled perfectly at the half-yard line. So, oh my goodness, having tons of pressure in his face, gets the kick to bounce out of bounds in the ideal position. So, at the half-yard line officially marked, the Eagles will force the Vikings offense to work out of the shadows of their end zone. And the Vikings will just need to do everything that they can to not have a safety brought upon their behalf.
Yeah, I'm at a loss of words, Max. I mean, that is absolutely amazing. The Eagles just continue to pour it on in every single possible way imaginable.
So if the Vikings want a chance to get any points on this drive, they'll have to drive the entire length of the field, 99.5 yards, as they line up in a full backfield pistol look. So 12 seconds on the play clock. They line up with 2 running backs in that pistol look, tightened off the left side of the offensive line. Motions McKenzie from left to right. And a fumbled snap. Diving on top of it is number 17 for the Laney defense. That's Jaden Thomas just getting a early Christmas gift in November. And the Eagles find a way to score a touchdown after the beautiful punt. And oh my goodness. This game is crumbling every single time the Vikings take a snap. And it's 48-3 now with 10:38 left in this 3rd quarter of play.
Recovering the fumble is 17, Jalen Thomas of Laney College.
Excitement from the coach's booth to a right of the Eagles. But it's just absolutely silent here in Viking Stadium.
Well, it's 48-3.
48-3 pending the extra kick here. A late man coming in.
We're only a little bit less than 5 minutes into the 3rd quarter.
PAT looks like it'll be another point that the Vikings just, I mean, every single point, it's like a gut punch, and they've had 49 of them so far with that PAT. So 49-3, the Vikings trail with 10:38 left in the this 3rd quarter of play. And so for the runoff rule for junior college to happen, what you need is both head coaches to agree upon it. And I don't see a runoff calling. I played for Coach Dorr. I understand the pride of his Vikings team, and it doesn't matter if you're getting blown out 49-3. He's going to force his guys to go out there and play hard all the way to the very end. So it looks like we might be for a longer night here in Viking Stadium.
I can appreciate and respect the enthusiasm and pride he has in his team, but there are women and children and parents that would like to go home within a reasonable hour, and this is getting ugly, folks.
So Coach Starr is in his 23rd year coaching here at DVC, and I mean, I can tell you, he's never given up once in those 23 years of coaching. So come out here and he'll continue to fight. And just, even if the team is losing their sense of pride, Coach Starr will never.
Right.
And that's one thing when you love to play for Coach Starr, just because he'll believe in you, even if you're down 49-3. So lining up to kick once again is Isaac Parada, who's, I mean, I can't even track his kicking numbers just because he's kicked the ball so many times. This is a high pooch kick once again. Fair caught by number 31 out to the 29-yard line. And Jake King, for the second time in a row, will catch the ball as an up man, and the Vikings will get a decent starting field positioning here at the 31-yard line. The Vikings will line up in an empty set here. Trips out to the right side of the offensive line, and Ray Jackson comes in at the very end of the play. So it wasn't supposed to be an empty set. It was supposed to be a shotgun or a pistol look, but Ray Jackson was just late to come onto the field. Jackson has 2 fumbles today, and that has been part of the reason why the Vikings are down 49-3 here. Hoyer working for the near hash mark, trips out to his right-hand side in the pistol look with Jackson to his rear end. Dropping back, 3-step drop, zips it out way too high over the top. And there was just no chance for Justin Ross to catch that ball. Hoyer stands at 6'5", and Justin Ross stands at 6 foot. And the ball elevated about a foot taller, so that ball was thrown up like 7'5". I don't expect your wide receiver to be able to jump up that high and catch the ball, and that's just a ball that Hoyer will want to have back. And I mean, to be honest, there's been so many balls tonight that Hoyer will be watching film and just hitting himself in the leg over.
Yeah, his receivers aren't Megatron.
Trips out of the right, pistol look once again, that same look from the near hash mark, and they hand it off this time to Jackson. Jackson moving through multiple defenders, and a flag flies in at the very end of the play. Jackson only got 1 yard on the carry, but it's looking like it might actually be a flag on the Eagles. So face mask penalty on the Eagles, and that's another 15-yard penalty on the Eagles. And I mean, to be honest, that's the only thing that the Vikings are winning over the Eagles today, as that's their 9th penalty for 114 yards.
Yeah, to be honest, Max, I've never seen a team with so many penalties and so many yards that they've cost themselves dominate a game so fiercely.
I've seen it with the Raiders a few times back when they led the NFL in penalties, but there's a reason the Raiders are in the position that they're in. So the Vikings are in this precarious situation as they come out in the spread pistol look between the hashes at the 43-yard line. Hoyer takes the snap, dropping back, zips it out to Cribb, and the ball just goes straight through the hands of Zane Cribb, and that goes off his face mask, and that's just a boink out of bounds. So even when Hoyer does deliver the strike in a perfect position, the wide receivers are not buying out their quarterback, and it's 2nd and 10 from the 43-yard line of the Vikings, still between the hashes. Trips right between the hashes. Hoyer works out in the pistol, and number 35 has come into this game as the running back for the Vikings. That's Dion Ingram, as Ingram diving forward for a 3-yard gain on the play. Let's call it 4 as he gets down to the 46-yard line. So Dion Ingram, for the very first time here, is getting his first carries of the season here in the second to last game.
Just like I touched on at halftime, Max, this is another precarious third down conversion that the Vikings are going to try to do. They have not been very successful on third down conversions tonight, and keeping them out of the red zone and presumably points.
Between the hashes from the 46-yard line, 3rd and 7, as Hoyer gets the snap, zips it out underneath to Sahagan. Sahagan catches it, bursts forward for a gain of about 5 yards after the reception. He caught the ball at the sticks, dove forward, and got it out to the 39-yard line. So a little bit of positivity for that offense of the DVC Vikings. And they'll mark it down at the 40, actually. So a nice little reception of about 15 yards as the Vikings offense tries to find a rhythm.
One of the very few times that Sahagan and Hoyer have been able to pair up on the same page on a pass this game.
Near hash mark, working right to left. Hoyer working out of that pistol, what trips out to the right side with Dion Ingram in the backfield once again. Ingram goes forward off the hands after the play action. And another incomplete pass off the hands of a Viking, or of an Eagle defender. His number 50, the backup linebacker, Nick Patterson, just cannot get that interception. So if Patterson was able to go up there and get the interception, the only person that would be able to stop him is Hoyer. So unfortunately for the Eagles, he wasn't able to get it, and now another penalty flies onto the field. So we're waiting for the man in the middle, the man with the white hat, to come out here and tell us what the penalty is. Dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct, and that goes against the defense, so another penalty on the Laney Eagles, and that totals up to 129 penalty yards so far today for the Eagles. But it doesn't matter because they're up 49-3.
Yeah, you think at a certain point that the penalty flags are just getting a little bit excessive. Just a little bit. You know, they're kind of controlling the game right now.
I think what they're trying to do is just keep this game within the realm of kind of, not possibility, but within the realm of
respectability,
yeah,
I would say.
Respectability.
Right.
I mean, like, of course you can be talking trash. You're up 49-3.
It's ugly, like, Max.
It's just, the referees are just coming out there, and they're the best friends of the Vikings tonight. So the Vikings will come out, trips out to the right-hand side. Dion Ingram is still the running back in the pistol look for Hoyer. Hoyer with the hard snap gets his offensive lineman to jump off sides. They're actually going to say Clemens, I believe, the right tackle jumped off sides, and that's a 5-yard penalty on the Vikings. Full start. Number 59, Tyler Clemens. And 1st and 10 from the 25-yard line will turn into 1st and 15 from the 30-yard line in between the hash marks.
And again, one of the things that have really been the driving force behind the insuccess of the Vikings offense is their discipline, and you see it there again. Knowing the cadence and knowing the count is definitely something very important that the offense is going to need to get down if they want to succeed here.
So a pass goes off into the flats. Cribbs catches that one, and he gets near the original line of scrimmage after the ball is thrown into the flats. So it'll be 2nd and 11 here from the 26-yard line.
Usually
an interesting stat here. So the Vikings have 130 passing yards today, and the Eagles have, 129 penalty yards?
Yeah, that's just a little bit crazy to compare those two stats and see how close they are, and then see the difference in the scoreboard.
So that kind of explains the situation in a nutshell in that last play. So jumping off sides, free play for Hoyer. Hoyer zips it downfield, tosses it out to Sahagan. Sahagan catches it, knocked it, bounce at they call it at the 10-yard line. And so the Vikings will definitely decline that penalty as Sahagan comes up with the big pass. So another flag flies down, but this time it won't tack on to the yardage of the Eagles.
Well, thankfully.
So moving forward, moving the chains after that catch by Sahagan, and the Vikings will get the ball down at the 10-yard line. So inside the red zone at the 10-yard line, we'll see if the Vikings have any sort of juice in them to push it in the end zone. The last 2 times they were stopped cold after they passed the 10-yard line, and we'll see if they can do anything with that pistol trips to the right look from the near hash mark. So they motion Chris from right to left, dropping back, zips it into the end zone. No, it's actually caught right before that. DeMario McKenzie catches it at the 2-yard line, drags the defender into the end zone, and the Vikings, with 6:54 left in this third quarter, finally get into the end zone. 49-9. The Vikings are celebrating like they won the Super Bowl, but they're still down by 40 points pending the PAT.
Yeah, they should celebrate like they've won the Super Bowl because of the entire game. They have been getting dominated, and like I said, in every facet of the ball game. And it's got to feel a little bit good to know that some of the work paid off, doing those drills and practice and all that good stuff, having it pay off in a game, finally being able to put up 6 points on the scoreboard.
So after the 2-yard reception goes in for the touchdown, or after the 5-yard reception rather, or 10-yard reception, pardon me, goes into the end zone. Prom will come out here, kick the PAT. A defender almost had a chance to block it, but Prom was able to cross the T on the PAT, and the Vikings have 10 points on the board. 49-10, the Vikings trail the Eagles with 6:54 left, but the Vikings show that they still have some fight in them. And you got to believe that the Vikings have to kick an onside kick every single time they have a chance to kick at this point, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't see it as a possibility unless they did that, and I don't see them doing that either.
Despite the fact that they're going to fight all the way through for the rest of this game, there's about 22 minutes left of playtime here with 6:54 left in this third quarter. And we'll see what the Vikings select to do. This game is out of reach, but hey, it's football. The fun thing about it is you never know what happens until the fat lady sings.
Right, and that fat lady has not sung yet.
So the Vikings will come out here, and they'll see what they decide to do. So they're not lining up in a particular onside kick formation, but as we saw with the opening kickoff against San Francisco City College, they did try that surprise onside. It almost worked perfectly. It moved the right amount of distance. You did everything, you as in the Vikings, of course. They did everything except for recover the onside kick. So we'll see what the Vikings elect to do here. This is a Prom stepping back. We'll go about 7 yards deep, taking a few steps towards the near sideline. Lining up, kicking right to left. The lone deep man is number 81 for the Laney College Eagles, and that's Quintarius Hall. So it's a deep kick. Hall will field at the 1 yard line, running up the near hash mark, cutting out to the sideline, tackled down by his ankle out to the 17-yard line. So it's not an onside kick attempt, but it's a great coverage as it forces the Laney into some bad starting field positioning out to the 17-yard line.
Yeah, and that was actually very decent kickoff coverage right there. The two outside men on the kickoff stayed in their lane despite the contact that they made running down the field, and they already keep that runner within their boundaries and make a good tackle.
So the Eagles will line up with that look that they actually got the quarterback sneak touchdown on. They have a pistol look with that up back off the left tackle. So they hand it off underneath, getting no room to run. Actually pushing forward. It looked like he was stopped with no room to run, but he still found 2 yards on that carry. As Harold Tidwell comes in and gets the call. Shyrus Duckett, the nose tackle coming in out of Skyview, Vancouver, comes up with the tackle. 2nd and 7 from the near hash mark from the 19-yard line. 6:15 counting down here in this third quarter of play. And it's looking like the quarterback in this game is Junior Diallo. So Junior Diallo hands it off the left side of the line. That's Tidwell once again. Tidwell bringing it forward, continually pushing, and he gets a nice gain right past the sticks for a nice 8-yard gain, and Tidwell moves the chains for the Eagles. So we did see Junior Diallo come into this game after the Eagles scored 28 consecutive points. He did not have a very productive outing, so they pulled him back out for Brookshire, but with the game virtually out of reach, up by 39 points with 5:41 left. They're going to put in their second unit right here, or at least their second string quarterback.
And still, that was a good run by the running back. One ankle tackle away from breaking that free for 6 points.
So Diallo lines up near the far hash mark, hands it off underneath once again, up the middle, has some space, finally tackled down from below his waist, and he's tackled down at the 33-yard line. Number 34, Marcus Bland, comes up with the tackle for the Vikings.
Just about the same formula there for the Eagles. Running the ball up the middle, getting some good yards, and again, one more ankle tackle away from making that a big gain.
So the scoreboard turned off for just 1 second, but it's back on. Nothing needs to be restarted. And also, It'll be 2nd and 3 here, or 2nd and 4 here at the 27-yard line. 2nd and 4 from the 27-yard line. The Vikings are down 49-10, and the Eagles continue to churn with their second-string quarterback, handing off the left side of the offensive line. That's Carry-on Hadnot. Hadnot has some space. Tackle down, hit down hard from behind, falling forward to the 45-yard line.
One thing I do have to say, that little guy has chops. He got to the outside very quickly there.
Yeah, so the outside running game hasn't been very successful for the Eagles. That's the one thing that the Vikings have been able to do decently today. But for the Vikings now, they've even given up on that. So the scoreboard turns off once again, but it comes back online, 33-32. And just technical difficulties top on top of the difficulties on the field that the Vikings are facing. But the clock is running again, 4 minutes and 26 seconds. And Junior Diallo lines up from the 4 hash marks, and that pistol look with the up back off guard. So hand it off once again up the middle. There's no space for him this time around. Held up at the very end of the play. But a tackle from number 98, Cyrus Duckett, comes up for the tackle once again.
Cyrus Duckett, 98, wrapping up.
And that was a really good job by the inside defensive tackle right there to get an arm free and surge up past the line of scrimmage to make a tackle on the running back for a short gain.
So it'll be 2nd and 9 from the 46-yard line, as the second-string running back has done nothing but hand it off. Junior Diallo has come into this game and handed it off every single time this drive. And the Vikings, despite selling out on the run, have not been able to stop it so far. So jet sweep off the left edge. That's actually going to be a running back sweep. Knocked down at midfield as Carry-on Hadnot gets another nice carry off the edge for some positive yardage. And it'll be 3rd and 5 from midfield.
Yeah, and all you want to do here, Max, is as long as you're getting positive yards and you're continuing to keep the clock running, I think in Laney College's perspective, they're doing what they should be doing. They're doing the right thing, and they're doing what they need to do to come out with a W.
If they throw another pass in this game, it'll be a surprise, to be completely honest.
I will too. Even though we haven't even gotten to the last quarter.
They just need to run the ball and get out of this one with a win.
Right, exactly.
So another pistol look once again with the up back off left guard. They hand it off to Hadnot once again. Hadnot cutting it back, wrapped down at the 38-yard line. They'll say he fell down officially at the 38-yard line, but Hadnot, it's just, he's shown a bigger heart than his body can carry. 5'4", 105-pound freshman, and he's just churning the chains, looking like a power back.
It certainly is impressive for him to keep moving those legs and run through contact to be able to get his team a first down like that. He's keeping the clock running and the ball's still in the Eagles' possession. That's a very good thing.
So from the 38-yard line, it'll be 1st and 10. And working left to right is Diallo, and the Laney Eagles offense. Diallo working out with the shotgun snap, and he'll pass it for the first time. They run a quick pass out the left side of the field, knocked out of bounds after a gain of nothing. So the pass went out to number 82. That's DeMar Johnson, the freshman out of McClymonds High. And he just, he had nowhere to go. The Vikings were playing a press defense right over there, right up in the face of the defender, or the offensive man. And the clock continues to churn.
That clock will continue to run, and the Vikings' chances of coming back, although slim before, are getting even slimmer by the second.
1:30 left in this first quarter, or this third quarter play rather, and the Vikings
scare me that
49-10. 2nd and 10, working from the 4 hash mark from the 38-yard line. They hand the ball off once again. It's a quarterback keeper up the middle, pops out,
Ball's
and
out.
the Vikings have a chance. It looks like they're on top of it. We'll see what the officials say. A fumble on the play on the quarterback keeper. The Vikings punched it out of the hands of his, but it looks like Laney was able to get back on top of the ball. So the quarterback keeper, for the first time today from Diallo, and Cyrus Duckett up the middle, forced a fumble. But unfortunately for the Vikings, the 2 fumbles that they forced today on this Laney Eagles team have gone back to Laney.
A very fortunate play of events there for Laney to be able to keep the ball there and not give the Vikings any room to breathe.
Far hash mark, pistol formation, tighten off the right side of the offensive line. And it's going to be a rush off the left side of the line. That goes to Harold Tidwell. Tidwell taking multiple defenders to bring him down. He was stopped cold in his tracks right at the line of scrimmage at the 35-yard line. But he continued to turn his feet, trying to work off towards the middle of the field. And he's taken down by 3 more DVC defenders for a 3-yard loss on the play. And what was 3rd and 7 will turn into a 4th and 10 from the 35-yard line as the clock churns down, going into this 4th quarter of play.
Yeah, Tidwell did a good job of running hard, even though he didn't get many yards. The first 2 people that came up and tried to tackle him, he said, you're going to need your whole crew to bring me down, and that's exactly what it took.
So, no 4s being thrown up for the sideline of the Vikings because they are down 49 to 10 here going into this 4th quarter play. So, 15 minutes left in this game, and the Vikings are just trying to get out of this one for the final time here in Viking Stadium tonight. You're tuned into DVC Viking football here on Watch DVC Sports. Fourth down and 10 from the 38-yard line, and Isaac Parada will come out here to punt. So actually, John Carter was the one to punt it. The kick goes all the way down, bounces into the end zone. We'll see if a flag flies down as the DVC kickoff man just blows up one of the one of the returners rather for DVC, just blows up one of the rushing men, or the coverage men rather, for the Laney Eagles team. But the punt is up. That goes in the end zone, so the Vikings will get it from the 20-yard line to start out this drive in the middle of the field. So the Vikings will start out they'll take the first offensive snap of the 4th quarter as they're down 49 to 10 with 14:50 left in this 4th quarter of play left in this game, and they'll face a 1st and 10 from the middle of the field from the 20-yard line. So the Vikings will line up in that pistol look from the middle of the field. He has a fullback up to his right hip is Hoyer, and then the running back in the backfield is number 35, Dion Ingram once again. So they motion Demario McKenzie from left to right. He'll line up with twins off the right side of the offensive line. 5 seconds left in the play clock. Hoyer will need to get the snap off. Hoyer trying to get the snap, gets it off just in time. They hand it off underneath. No, it's a play action. Hoyer throws it deep downfield. One-on-one has a man wide open, but it's almost intercepted. Demario McKenzie had no man within 5 yards of him, but Hoyer just overthrows it. It goes directly into the grill of number 24 for the Eagles. That is the backup defensive back, Dominic Williams. And Williams just whiffed one. He had a wide open interception, and he just dropped the ball.
There was a lot of things wrong with that play, Max. First of all, I don't even know if I would be passing in this situation if I was the Vikings. I know you're trying to get some yards, but you're down by so much, and it's the 4th quarter. Hoyer hasn't been throwing the ball good all day tonight, and it shows again there, and the defender should have picked the ball off.
Pistol formation for Hoyer once again. That same look with the running back off the right hip and the running back behind him. They hand it off underneath, having a little bit of a space underneath, but a great job by the defensive line. Amir coming up and getting the stop. So Mujahid came up there from his right defensive end position and got the tackle for the Eagles. The clock is still running, and that's all really anybody can ask for in this situation.
Mercifully.
So the game started at 7. It's 9:31, so at the beginning of the 4th quarter of play, it was already a 2-hour and 30-minute game because of all the flags and incomplete passes. The clock is running, and the Vikings will see what they can do with the remainder of the time. So motioning from right to left is Cribbs. Cribbs motions but doesn't go across the field. Hoyer just throws the ball way over the top of the head of Isaiah Sahagan. And so a Roman Sahagan rather, and a 3rd and 8 will turn to a 4th and 8, and the Vikings will have to punt from their own 22-yard line. And Hoyer has men open, but he just cannot deliver the strike. If you're talking baseball, this man has been throwing balls all night long. Nothing has been inside the strike zone.
No, absolutely not. There seems to be something wrong with the psyche, or maybe something physically wrong with him, because he is not capable of making a good pass tonight, it seems.
He's had a few good passes, but it's been few and far between. So Prom will line up from the 11-yard line, punt it away. This is a wobbling punt, not a very good one. Fair catch down at the 48-yard line.
1st and 10 coming up for the Eagles.
So, after that short punt, only a net yardage of about 26 yards for Prom on that play. The Eagles are going to set up shop in the offensive zone of the Vikings once again, just past midfield at the 48-yard line. And the Eagles working right to left will come out here. And they'll see what they can do on this first offensive drive of this 4th quarter, up 49-10.
If I'm the Eagles right here, I'm looking to waste some more of that clock.
Lining up, handing off underneath the 3rd-string quarterback as she comes in. Tackle in the backfield as Carrion had some space to work on the edge, but a jersey tackle by a DVC defender comes up there and gets a stop as number 36 for the Vikings comes up on the tackle, and that's Benjamin Yalipa with the tackle.
-2 on the play.
So the quarterback in the game right now is Ryan Mackey.
2nd and 12.
So Ryan Mackey is in at quarterback number 16. The 3rd-string quarterback is in the game for the Eagles as they work 2nd and 12 from midfield. 2nd and 12, they hand it off the right edge once again by Carrion Hadnot. And Hadnot finds a way to move the chains despite having men right in front of his face and gets out to the 47-yard line, it looks like, for a gain of 3 rather.
Max, I'd just like to point out to all the viewers, all the Vikings fans, to the families all out watching the game right now, still sticking with us. Props to you for sticking through this and cheering on your team. Really appreciate all the views and all the exposure that you guys give us. So thank you.
So 3rd and 9 officially on the field from the 47-yard line, 12:28 and counting down as the Eagles are waiting for every single second of this clock to tick off. They hand it off once again off the right side of the offensive line, finding the edge, knocked out of bounds after a gain of about 3 on the play. That was another new running back in the game for the Eagles as number 28, Aquante Morris, comes up with the carry. So after the rush out of bounds by Aquante Morris, the Eagles have to punt it once again. So the Eagles had to punt it once in a meaningful situation so far in this game, but the other 2 or 3 punts so far have just been academic at this point.
Right. You know, in this position, honestly, it doesn't even really matter. You could turn the ball over on downs, and it wouldn't really make much of a difference considering that the lead is so big and there's only limited amount of time left in the game. But I think it is the right and smart decision to go for a punt here.
So number 26 has taken over the job punting. That's John Carter. He's actually listed as a defensive back out of Army and Navy High in Carlsbad, California. So number 28, John Carter. He's played in 4 games so far. This will be his 5th game of this season so far. Surprisingly, he's actually had better punt numbers than the starting punter, Isaac Parada, as he gets a second one, high booming kick, but this will be short. Fair caught down at the 22-yard line. So, Josh Ramirez comes up, fields it. The Vikings will get it just inside of their 25-yard line and see what they can do with 11:16 left in this game. 49-10 once again is the score of this game, as the Eagles have come out here and blown the doors off the gate from the very beginning. They scored 28 consecutive points in this first quarter of play, and in the first play of the second half, they hit a 67-yard rush off the legs of John McDonald, and they have not looked back so far in this game. Hoyer calling for the snap from the far hash mark, hands it off to Cribb. Cribb tries to make a juke step for a second, cuts back inside, but has nowhere to go. He does well to even get back to the 20-yard line, as Zane Crabb will lose 4 yards on the carry. Every single time the Vikings run that jet sweep motion, it looks like they're looking for a double pass, but nothing opens up. The Laney defense is just staying disciplined and doing the right thing.
And even if they weren't going for that double pass, it just seems as if every hole and every lane is just clogged up by that Eagles defense, and they're just doing a great job of shutting down and anticipating every move that the Vikings might make.
Yeah, 3-4 defense was looking magnificent tonight for the Eagles. As Hoyer comes out in the pistol look, trips out to his right on the short side of the field from the near hash mark, spinning out at one tackle, running out to his left, looking downfield, pump fakes, zips it underneath to Sahagan. Sahagan catches it, cuts back inside, diving forward down to the 29-yard line. And Sahagan has the safety route underneath, gets some positive yardage, and it'll make it 3rd and manageable for the Vikings. 3rd and 4 officially on the field from the 29-yard line, and we'll see what the Vikings elect to do. Clock is running down, 10-10 on the clock, counting down. And the Vikings are taking their sweet time getting out of the huddle.
You know, honestly, Max, I don't really blame them, you know.
So from the far hash mark, the Vikings work out of the shotgun look, trips out the right side of the field from the far side of the field, and they'll motion Cribbs from left to right. Nope, Cribbs actually stops, so a quick motion before he crosses the midfield, and they throw a pass underneath the sticks, and that's caught by the backup running back, Dion Wright, coming into this game, or Dion Ingram, rather. And so that's enough to move the chains for the Vikings after the 5-yard reception. So Dion Ingram getting his first playing time this whole entire season in this game, and he's trying to put a little bit of film on the tape here late in his freshman campaign.
We all know how important the tape is, Max, especially when you're trying to go somewhere and playing sports. Hasn't played the game all season, comes out, makes a pretty terrific catch, looks it all the way in, making the most of his opportunities.
There's no scoreboard on the tape, so it doesn't matter if it's garbage time. You're coming out there and you're balling out like your life depends on it.
Exactly.
So tight bunch off the right side of the offensive line. Pointing to his running back as Hoyer. Hoyer gets the snap off, toss that deep, downfield, caught by Justin Ross, and Justin Ross gets to the catch all the way out to the 40-yard line. And the Vikings finally getting a little bit of momentum going their way as he comes up with a nice 26-yard reception on the play.
Well, like you said, they've come few and far between, but Hoyer kept his composure and threw an absolutely great ball down the sideline in that corner route. Was able to complete it for a big gain, and now they're moving down the field.
So the Vikings are finally finding a little bit of a groove, but it's a little too far. I mean, a lot too far and a lot too late as they're down 39 with 8:30 left in this fourth quarter. They're not quitting, and that's one thing that is very commendable about this team. So Cribbs motions from right to left at the bunch right, and Hoyer steps back, has time to throw, rolling out, decides to run it. Nope, he's actually going to sidearm it, caught by Sahagan. Sahagan out of bounds at the 25-yard line. And the Vikings are moving with a purpose here as they churn downfield, moving the ball out to the 25-yard line, so they're knocking on the door of the red zone for the Eagles right now. And they're trying to do everything that they can to get some more points on this board. On the 25-yard line from the near hash mark, the Vikings break the huddle. Working left to right, the Vikings will come out in a shotgun look. Stacked twins on each side, and that spread look for the Vikings as they come out with Dion Ingram off the right hip of Hoyer. Hoyer gets the snap, has time to throw, stepping up in the pocket, zips it wide open down the middle of the field, but it's just underthrown right at the goal line. Isaiah Sahagan had beaten his man to the coverage, but Hoyer could not deliver the strike. If you just threw it 1 yard further, Sahagan would have come up with a touchdown. But that ball was thrown 1 yard short, and Sahagan, despite his diving attempt, could not get his hands underneath that ball. It'll be 2nd and 10 from the 25-yard line.
Yeah, and it's disappointing to watch that when you know that that's the quarterback's favorite option. You're just not able to get it to him and not able to put enough oomph behind it to get it there for a touchdown.
Spread shotgun look for Hoyer as Hoyer works from the near hash mark. Hoyer stepping back, running out to his right, has pressure, throwing it into the end zone. That's once again thrown way too far out of bounds. Demario McKenzie had nowhere to go on that play, and we've seen that a lot actually for McKenzie. McKenzie runs that route along the right side, but Hoyer can't toss it in bounds. So the clock has stopped with the last 2 incomplete passes, and we're at a stalemate here with 7:29 left and the rest of this game. 3rd and 10 as the Vikings face it from 25 yards out. Vikings break the huddle. They come out on that spread shotgun look from the near hash mark. So stack out to the right side with the 2 wide receivers, and Hoyer will get the snap. Blitz off the edge. Hoyer rolling out. 1 tackle, has to throw this one up, chalks it up, and it's going to be in. Oh my goodness, almost intercepted once again as he tried to throw it out of bounds. Number 24 was out there trying to do his best. Odell Beckham Jr. impression, reaching up with that one hand. That was Dominic Williams trying to have that beautiful one-handed interception. But Hoyer overthrew the defensive back this time around. So fortunate for the Vikings, it'll be 4th and 10 from the 25-yard line.
Yeah, Hoyer's definitely having a hard time throwing the football today. That's just another ill-advised throw. You don't want to be thrown off your back foot like that, especially when there's coverage all over your receiver.
The thing about it is he's trying to throw it out of bounds, but he just doesn't muster enough gas behind it. And
Right.
he can't get it out of bounds, so it's in a precarious situation, almost intercepted. So Hoyer on 4th down, blitz coming up the middle, and he's sacked down hard. Number 55 coming up from his linebacker position. That's actually a defensive lineman, Ramon Sanders, coming up the gut, throwing Hoyer down. And with 7:15 left in this 4th quarter of play, the Vikings will turn it over on downs and give it back to the Eagles, who lead 49-10.
7:15 remaining in the 4th quarter. 1st and 10 for the Eagles.
7:15 left in this game. 49-10 from the 33-yard line of the Vikings. The Eagles will come out here and try to run out the rest of this game. From the near hash mark, the backup quarterback coming in, the 3rd string, Ryan Mackey, will hand it off underneath. That's number 32 on the carry this time around. That's a new running back getting his first carry of the game, and that's Joshua Blocker coming in for the carry.
32 Joshua Blocker's first run of the day. He's met by 52 Devontae Johnson.
So Devontae Johnson comes up for the tackle. As Joshua Blocker gets a nice gain for his very first gain of the day. It'll be 2nd and 5 from the 38-yard line. 6:40 counting down in this 4th quarter of play. And the Vikings will come out. The Eagles will come out in that pistol look. So hand off underneath, working off the right side of the offensive line, trying to work through multiple tackles, continue to push the pile. A scrum forming on the field, pushing forward, getting all the way to the sticks. A gain of 4 officially on the field, and it looks like they might give him the first down. As Joshua Blocker comes in there, continues to turn his feet, showing some real heart in garbage time, and finds a way to convert. So actually going to say he's 1 yard short.
Yeah, and even though the game's well within the bag at this point, Max, you still like to see your players going out there and competing, especially to seal a win. You want to keep that clock running and get out of there as soon as possible.
3rd and 1, the Eagles will line up near the far hash mark as they're working right to left, and they'll line up in that pistol look once again with an up back about a yard back from the right guard. So they run counter off the left side of the field, trying to get the edge, finds it, cutting off to the edge, getting to the sideline, spinning out of bounds at the 41-yard line is Aquante Morris. And a flag flies in at the very end as the Vikings are starting to lose their composure. Tackled out of bounds, spinning the man running the ball, Morris, and it looked like a move out of Dancing with the Stars.
It did.
He just had a little bit of a pirouette on that near sideline. 15-yard penalty on the Vikings as just more insult to injury. They're just rubbing salt in the wound at this point as they're down 39 points with 5:36 left in this 4th quarter to play.
Action will now start from the 25.
From the 25-yard line now, we'll see what the Eagles are able to do. Ryan Mackey has led this drive. He has not thrown it a single time in this game so far, taking over the snaps from the 2nd string quarterback, Junior Diala. And a lineup in that pistol look once again. Pistol with the up back off the right guard. Hand up the middle, has some space, spinning off the first tackle, continuing to turn his feet out to the middle of the field. Tackled down finally by a gang of DVC defenders out to the 11-yard line. And a great pickup by Aquante Morris, a gain of 13 on the play as that pushes them deep into the red zone of the Vikings. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 12-yard line.
Yeah, that's an inspiring run by Morris. Late in the fourth quarter, making a great spin move, turning off that foot, and breaking through tackles and continuing to drive the pile of defenders all the way down until you get a first down, and that's inspiring to watch.
He wasn't even trying to make a spin move. He just spun off a tackler.
Right.
So, a tremendous job right over
he
there.
Makes, he makes
that
it look
momentum.
easy. Right.
So that same pistol look from midfield between the hashes now as they hand it off the left side. They're going to run counter to the left side. Met in the pocket, running over one DVC defender before turning forward for a gain of 4 on the play. So Joshua Blocker comes up on the carry. And number 30,
Najee Smith, 38, along with
number 38 rather, Najee Smith, the backup running back playing defensive back here for the Vikings, comes up with the tackle.
correction, that was number 30, Sean.
Pardon me, Sean Hupke, number 30, came up to tackle the backup defensive back.
Second down.
Second down and 7 from the 9-yard line. 4:04 left as the clock continues to churn down as the Eagles just try to close out this game. Snap is off. Mackey hands it off to number 32. That's Joshua Blocker. Blocker coming towards the edge, has the angle, scurries into the end zone. 9-yard rushing touchdown. Joshua Blocker gets his first touchdown of the game, and he puts the Eagles up 55-10 with 3:49 left in this fourth quarter of play.
Yeah, that's all she wrote, Max.
So, the Vikings try to play tough defense to close it out, but unfortunately, the Eagles' second team unit continues to churn, their second and third team unit rather, continue to churn their feet, move the chains, and some inspired running by both Aquante Morris and Joshua Blocker leading the way for the Eagles.
He's been good all night.
So,
191,
Isaac Parada comes up there and crosses the T on another PAT, and the score is 56-10. 3:49 left in this game, and we'll see if the Vikings can do anything to get back on this board. It's just a hard game to watch if you're a Vikings fan.
Hopefully at this point the Vikings might elect to just run the football and run up the clock, because throwing the football all night overall just has not been working for them against this team.
The deep man in the return game, once again, is Zane Cribbs, who's had the majority of the catches today in the return game, or the returns rather, and number 14, Matthew Larks. So we'll see what the Vikings elect to do on offense now, as it's 56-10 with 3:49 left in this game. The whole entire side of the field is dejected. You can see the body language, and they're just looking to get out of here and start prepping for Santa Rosa. Number 91, Isaac Parada, comes out for the kickoff once again. And we'll see what he is able to do here. Parada so far in kickoffs has had 265 yards on 8 kickoffs, averaging 33.1 yards per kickoff. The short game has been what Laney has really planned out to do. Parada's only lining up about 3 yards back. He's pooch kicking it out to one of the up backs, and they're being fair caught. So not fair caught this time. Caught at the 30-yard line, smothered down by 3 different gunmen on the coverage team. And a great job at number 31. That's Jake King, who's had the last 3 kickoff receptions. And that's just a great job by him holding onto that ball, because that ball could have easily popped out as the lumber was laid on him. The axe was chopped down, and I mean, I'm surprised he stepped up and got up after that tackle.
He was laying the wood like a cabin, and it was not pretty indeed.
The Vikings will line up for the far hash mark, working left to right as Hoyer comes back out at quarterback to close out this game. Or actually, pardon me, that's 15. That's Joe Wood coming in to close out this game, the second string running back. They hand it off underneath. And for the Vikings, that's Dion Ingram once again trying to get anything going. Gets half a yard on the carry. And number 57 was the man on the tackle. Lukini Unau coming up on the tackle for the Eagles. Lupini comes in there from his defensive line position, fills the gap well, And it's 2nd and 9 with 3:16 left. The clock is turning, and the Vikings are trying to get out of here. Joe Wood from the far hash mark lines up in that pistol look. The running back in the backfield is Dion Ingram. Hands it off once again. Ingram continues to turn the feet off the left side of the offensive line, and he's tackled down at the 36-yard line. 54 on the tackle is Jack Lutz, the linebacker. The back and outside linebacker, rather, from Granada, California. Or from Granada High, rather, in Livermore, California. Gain of 6 on the play. 2:40 left in this game. 3rd and 4 as the Vikings trail by 46 in the 4th quarter. Joe Wood from the far hash mark lines up in that spread pistol look once again. And he's going to pass it this time, throwing us a little bit of a dig route underneath out to number 88 for the Vikings. That is Eric Dunn, the wide receiver, coming out there, getting the catch at the sticks, diving forward for a gain of 5 more after the play. And he'll get out to the 45-yard line. 2:09 left. The clock continues to run as the Vikings work from the near hash mark, working left to right. Joe Wood lines up. Behind him is Dion Ingram. Trips out to the left side of the offensive line. The lone wide receiver is number 18 on the bottom of the screen. They hand up underneath. Having some room. Continues to run straight forward. Rumbling, bumbling, tumbling. Knocked down at the 37-yard line as his helmet pops out at the very end of that play. And Dion Ingram doing a tremendous job coming out here with some hard running and getting the first down for the Vikings. 1st and 10 from the Eagles' 37-yard line. The Vikings are down 56-10 with 1:35 left in this game. The clock continues to churn as the play clock ticks down from 15. Vikings still in the huddle, led by Joe Wood, the second-string quarterback here, to close out the rest of this game.
He'll start from the 37 this time.
The quarterback, or the running back in this game now is number 41 for the Vikings, and it's Paris Calistine. So Calistine gets a rush off the edge, has a seam, turning the feet, tackled down at the 20-yard line. So Calistine on his very first carry comes out here, and he's tackled down at the 20. But the clock continues to run because he didn't quite find his way out of bounds. 1 minute left in this game, 59 seconds churning down. And the Vikings will see if they can get in the end zone one more time for the rest of this game.
21 for the Vikes.
Paris Calistine in the backfield alongside Joe Wood. Joe Wood from the far hash mark works from the pistol spread. Waiting for the snap. Motions from left to right is his wide receiver. Hands off underneath to Calistine once again. Calistine breaking through multiple tacklers, getting all the way down to the 18-yard line. That's actually the 17-yard line. Tackled down by number 52 by the Laney Eagles. That is Barasa K-Map, the defensive lineman, coming out there. And with 22 seconds left, the Vikings will look like they're going to get one more playoff.
Here we go, Max.
Trips out to the right for the very last snap here at home in Viking Stadium as Joe Wood will call it. Joe Wood gets the snap, play action, tosses out, and that's way too far thrown. And so a pass is incomplete as a flag flies in at the very end of the play. 4.4 seconds left in this game with the flag flying in. If this one's on the Vikings, if they don't take the timeout, then the 10-second runoff will actually probably close out this game if I'm not mistaken. Personal foul on the Vikings. Still be 3rd down after the 15-yard penalty. So, out to the 32-yard line, the Vikings will get one more play
4.4 seconds
left in this game, left in their home season here as they trail 56-10 to the Laney Eagles. 3rd and an eternity on the field from the 32-yard line. The point they need to get the first down is out to the 11-yard line. They line up in the pistol spread once again. Pistol spread. Joe will call for the ball. Joe Wood gets it. Handed off underneath. Churning forward for a nice gain of 7 yards on the play, tackle down at the 25-yard line. Deion Ingram's the last carry of the season here at home for the DVC Vikings, and the game has finally come to a conclusion. 56-10, the Diablo Valley College Vikings lose to the Laney College Eagles in a game that was all Laney College. So we'll take a quick break before coming back and giving you some final stats. You're tuned into DVC football here on Watch DVC Sports.
Working the clock this year, Amy and Matt are
Back here in Viking Stadium as the Vikings lose in their final home game of the season, 56-10 to the Laney College Eagles. The Eagles come out, they dominate this game through and through, and they extend to 7-2 on the season, as they will close out their season with one more game left at Chabot College, out at home next Friday, November 9th. And the Vikings will fall to 2-7 on the season. They'll head over to Santa Rosa for the very last game of the season. So now for some post-game stats. So the Vikings had 20 first downs in this game. 10 came from passing, 3 came from rushing, 7 came from penalties. The penalties have been the things that have stood out tremendously. 11 penalties for 134 yards from the Eagles, but it really did not matter as the Eagles dominated through and through. 21 first downs, 18 for 13 on third down, and they had 463 total yards on the day. We'll go to the individual stats first for the Laney College Eagles. Jordan Brookshire just did everything right today. 11 for 60 and 169 yards, 3 touchdowns through his arm, 2 through his legs. He was the leading rusher for the Eagles as well. 7 carries for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns, like I said before. Junior Diallo came in as well, 2 for 3 for a -4 yard gain, or -4 net yard gain there. John McDonald was the leading rusher. And the Vikings, to be honest, did a fairly good job stopping the run tonight, aside from one big play, the 67-yard touchdown run to kick off the second half of play for the Eagles. They just hit a home run with McDonald. McDonald ran it up the gut on the power run and got 67, took it to the house, and he finished this today 10 for 88. So 10 attempts for 88. Let's just move it down over here. So the leading receiver is Carryon Hadnot, who had 1 reception for 47 yards and a touchdown and some blown coverage out of the wheel route in the backfield. Jared Smart had the most receptions, 4 receptions for 21 yards. And now let's move on to the Vikings. 18 for 40, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jared Hoyer just had a terrible day. And
it was abysmal.
Yeah, it was abysmal.
At the beginning of the game, I did say that depending on how the quarterback position was played out for the Vikings was how good this game would turn out for the Vikings as a whole. And the quarterback did not play up to par in this game, and you can see the results for that.
So for the rushing of the Vikings, the starting running backs netted for a total of 14 yards. Rayshawn Alexander had 7 for 6. Ray Jackson had 6 for 8 and 2 fumbles. Sahagan was the leading starting rusher for the Vikings. 2 carries out of jet sweeps for 16 yards, and the garbage time padded the stats for Paris Calistine, Damari McKenzie, and Deion Ingram coming in for 20, 18, and 18. Roman Sahagan had 100 yards receiving in this game, so the Vikings pointed out that matchup today. So Nashawn Wright was the guy that they were trying to target, the 6'4 freshman out of James Logan. He ended up with the interception, but Sahagan had 101 yards on him on 7 carries. And the Vikings just fumbled 4 times. It was just a hard game through and through. The Laney Eagles come out here and they just dominate the Vikings. They show that the Vikings are in a different league here at the bottom of the Basics Conference. And they'll look to see if they can end the season on a high note as they go out to Santa Rosa next week. So, for Logan Nonies, over here in the broadcast team, Noah Williams and everybody else helping out, my name's Max Agresson. You've been tuned into for another season of DVC Viking football here at Viking Stadium on Watch DVC Sports. It's been a great year, full of some ups and downs, but the Vikings ended on a low note here finishing the season at home 2-7. So, with that, we'll bid you adieu. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a great rest of your evening.